Thank you and welcome to Broward County Public Schools' 9th annual EdTalk. Today's program is broadcasted via Microsoft Teams Live, which is different from the regular Microsoft Teams that you may be accustomed to. With that in mind, you will not be able to unmute your mics to speak. However, this is EdTalk, and we certainly want you to participate. So you will have an opportunity to submit your questions and comments in the live event Q&A section. Please feel free to do so throughout the entire program. Also at this time, as this is a virtual event, there could be technical challenges. So please bear with us as we'll work quickly to resolve any issues that may come up. And now we invite you to stand for the presentation of colors and the national anthem presented by Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Just a footnote, please know that this recording was created prior to 2020. So that was one of our technical difficulties. So at this time, I please invite you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you all for your understanding, for being flexible, and thank you, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Good morning again, everyone. My name is Angel Gomez, and I am the coordinator for governmental affairs for this amazing district. We have an exciting program for you today. For those of you joining EdTalk for the first time, this event actually normally takes place in one of our schools. For the first time, we're virtual, which definitely is giving us and is giving more people the opportunity to attend. You may be wondering why we use Teams Live instead of regular Teams. Well, I'm glad you asked. It is for a good reason. A regular Teams meeting can only accommodate a maximum of 300 attendees. Guess what? EdTalk 2020-21 has more than 1,000 registrants, you being one of them. Therefore, we're hosting via Teams Live, which can accommodate thousands of attendees. So it's not too late to invite your friends, family, neighbors, everybody, just about anyone to join today's event. Also, Microsoft Teams Live allows unilateral communication, which means that during our interactive Q&A sessions, you will be able to participate by submitting questions through the Q&A feature. We may not be able to get to every question. However, we will try to answer as many as we can in the allotted time. Also, I wanted to ensure that everyone has access to today's agenda. To view the agenda, all you have to do is visit browardschools.com/EdTalk. Let me say it again, that's browardschools.com/EdTalk, where you may also download a PDF document of the agenda. So let's get started. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome the principal of Broward Virtual School, my colleague and my good friend, Mr. Christopher McGuire.
You're muted, Mr. McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for our district's first virtual EdTalk event. I'm Chris McGuire. I have the privilege of serving as principal of Broward Virtual School. For many, e-learning is a new concept given the uniqueness of this school year. However, it may surprise you to learn that Broward Virtual School has offered online courses to students since 2001. In fact, Broward County was the first public school district in the nation to provide students with the option of earning a high school diploma entirely online. My team and I are extremely proud of the e-learning model we've crafted and implemented over the past 2 decades. Special shout out to my Broward virtual family out there. You'll see a student demonstration of our model later this morning. Today, we provide meaningful online opportunities to 13,000 students each year on both a full-time and part-time basis. On behalf of the Broward Virtual School faculty and staff, I hope you find today's event informative and helpful. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce a very passionate and charismatic person whose support of students, parents, and educators is always on display. Please help me welcome our school board chairperson, Dr. Rosalind Osgood. Thank you again.
Good morning, and thank you, Principal McGuire, for that fabulous introduction. Good morning, Broward County Schools community. On behalf of the school board of Broward County, I am ecstatic this morning to welcome you to EdTalk 2020. Today, you're part of one of Broward County Schools' most significant events. This is the event where intellect becomes innovation. Each year, EdTalk brings us all together collectively. EdTalk is an environment of comprehensive community. We are all present, students, parents, teachers, district administrators, business leaders, government leaders, elected officials, members of our community, and the school board. As a comprehensive collective community, we assemble here today. We will better meet the needs of our students by utilizing adaptive problem-solving techniques to examine the challenges our district faces and explore ideas and strategies to overcome those challenges. Like so much in 2020, this year's EdTalk looks and feels different. This is the first time the event is held virtually. So we are literally making history today. That's right, we are making history today. This morning, we here in our schools, neighborhoods, and the world. I am grateful that you still made it a priority to be a part of this very crucial conversation today. Our children have a need to grow every day. Yeah, that's the acronym change I live by. Children have a need to grow every day. And we all have an obligation to provide opportunities for our children to grow every day. It's up to you and I to facilitate the outcomes of success for our children. Thank you so much for being here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce my esteemed colleagues and members of the Broward County School Board. If we was live, you know I would have a basketball play for you right here. But since we're virtual, I'll just do it in this way. Please join me in acknowledging the Vice Chair of the School Board, Ms. Lori Rich Levinson, District 6. Ann Murray, District 1. Patricia Good, District 2. Sarah Leonardi, District 3. Lori Aladav, District 4. Deb Hickson, Countywide District 9. Seat 9, I should say. And Miss Nora Rupert and Donna Korn were unable to join us today, but would also want to welcome you to EdTalk 2020. I would like to recognize the elected officials who joined us today. Thank you for your dedication and service to our community, and for your continued support of our schools and students. Each of you attending today will help make a difference in the lives of our students' education. With today's sessions like Learning Never Closed, Success During COVID-19 Pandemic and E-Learning, the Classroom of the Future. These discussions will be vital to the future of our students and by extension, the entire Broward community. Together, we can create innovations today to better prepare our students to succeed in tomorrow's world by creating those opportunities for our children to grow every day. Yes, you and I facilitating outcomes of success for our students. Now, if I can have a drum roll, please. It is my pleasure to introduce someone that I will believe will go down in history as being one of the greatest superintendents of all time. He is a Harvard-educated man, a man of integrity, a family man, a man who loves children and the work that God has called him to do at this time. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the Superintendent of Broward County Schools, Mr. Robert Runcie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Osgood, for that invigorating and inspiring welcome. I'm sure everybody should be awake after that. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Big thank you to Broward Virtual School and Principal Christopher McGuire for your warm virtual welcome as well. I'm happy for the opportunity today to recognize the outstanding leadership Principal McGuire has provided to Broward Virtual School, making it Florida's top performing virtual school. Yes, that's right. We have the top performing virtual school right here in Broward County. Chris is also a former finalist for the prestigious Principal of the Year Award. This is especially meaningful as he represents a virtual learning school, and he's focused on ensuring that his students have a quality experience online. Thank you, Chris, for your dedication and commitment to excellence for our students. Today's virtual EdTalk will provide an opportunity for us to thank our community, volunteers, and partners for their involvement, contributions, and valued support. This year has been, without comparison, a difficult one for our families and community. COVID-19 has presented our district with unprecedented and extraordinary challenges. When our schools first closed, we were fortunate that Broward was well positioned for e-learning. For several years, we had been developing our capability to deliver personalized education with a blend of classroom time with teachers and online digital resources that are available anytime and anywhere. Our Canvas learning management system already allowed us to provide digital versions of textbooks links to educational programs and resources, lesson plans, and instructional materials for every grade level and subject, including special needs and bilingual. But we know that 2020 has been enormously difficult for our families as they deal with housing instability, work schedules, childcare, food insecurity, illness, and many other challenges. We appreciate and thank our parents and guardians for working with this district on our collective goal of doing whatever it takes to give our children the best we can, even under the most trying circumstances. The same must be said of our teachers, many of whom are also parents. Our teachers have gone above and beyond as we pivoted from the classroom to virtual learning and back to face-to-face instruction. An enormous gratitude to those teachers who continue to make magic happen every day as they relentlessly engage their students for learning and growth. Our biggest lesson from 2020 is that we cannot go back to the old normal. So today, I challenge all of us to come together and discuss the best way we can use our resources to continue to support our students, teachers, and parents during the COVID-19 pandemic, and even more than that, to reimagine a better educational system. So here are some ideas and some immediate and long-term challenges and opportunities to think about today. First, we believe that there are thousands of habitually truant students who have 15 or more unexcused absences since the start of the school year in August, and over 700 students who have not attended remote or in-person learning since we reopened our campuses on October 9th. We must find these lost children and provide interventions and support to get them back on track for success. This has to be an all hands on deck moment to save these kids. Second, we must keep our schools open. We've always been guided by science and public health experts. We continue to consult with our local health experts and medical experts. We listen to guidance from the CDC, national experts like Dr. Fauci, and then we look at our data. The big news is that we've learned over the past several weeks that schools are not places for the secondary transmission and spread of the coronavirus. That's right. Our schools are not where the coronavirus is being spread. This means that our families, our students, our teachers and employees should have the confidence to send their children to school and show up to our campuses for work. We agree wholeheartedly with the recent governor's executive order that students who are struggling academically should be the driver for academic progress and not seat time. Finally, we should use technology to create greater equity in access to courses and learning opportunities. For example, imagine if every student had access to any course and learning opportunity across the district. If you were taking AP chemistry at one school or a particular foreign language and it didn't exist at your local school, we should be able to use technology to offer that course to any student anywhere in Broward County. The possibilities are limitless. Fourth, we need to embrace the power of parents. The big question for us is, how do we get parents involved to fight and demand the best education and resources for their children? We see enormous promise in structures like our Parent Community Involvement Task Force and the recent Parent University seminars where tens of thousands of parents participated. We were never able to do that prior to this moment we're in. So we're highly encouraged by the opportunities to continue to communicate and engage with our parents. Fifth, this is a time for us to redesign our accountability systems. We need to stop trying to fix kids and fix the system to better meet their needs. We had achievement gaps before the pandemic. In Broward, they were closing, but I now fear that they may be widening under this crisis. We need to improve Florida's accountability system that is used to grade schools and teachers to also include measures focused on equity, such as closing achievement gaps, having access to technology for all, reducing disproportionality in school discipline, which speaks to the level of systemic bias in a district. And we can use school climate metrics to measure the effectiveness of social and emotional learning at the local school level. This is a moment in history for us not to follow, but to lead. I am reminded of a statement at the beginning of the science fiction series Star Trek that says, to seek out new life and civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. That's our charge today, to think out of the box and to boldly go where no one has gone before in public education. Our children will be the beneficiaries of our boldness. You know, all of us will die someday. The question is, how do we choose to live? Will you live your life in a positive way to advance humanity, or will you waste it on fear, anger, and foolishness? I have chosen to live my life in the service of children. I ask you to join me on this journey. God bless you all and have a safe and joyful holiday season.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fantastic principal, Mr. McGuire, our dedicated school board chair, Dr. Osgood, and our amazing superintendent, Mr. Rosalind. Thank you so much for all those words. During today's event, we will feature 3 special segments announcing and honoring this year's Community Involvement Awards winners. To lead this recognition, let's welcome Mr. Eric Yahtzee from WPLG Local Channel 10. Mr. Yahtzee?
Award segment during EdTalk 2020-2021. I'm Eric Yahtzee. I'm thrilled to be joining EdTalk today to recognize the winners for Broward County Public Schools 2020 Community Involvement Awards. Every year, Broward County Public Schools hosts the Community Involvement Awards. It's a way to thank the amazing individuals who give their time, energy every day, includes some of you who are here today. The 2020 Community Involvement Awards ceremony, which was scheduled for May of this year, had of course to be canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the district wanted to ensure that it recognizes the outstanding individuals who provide invaluable service to students and schools through volunteering, mentoring, family engagement initiatives, and partnerships. And so I invite everyone to join in, catch the spirit. We're recognizing some of the outstanding men and women who have seized the opportunity to improve the future of our children. You may read the detailed information about these individuals at the website at browardschools.com/CIA. Also lists the nominees in each category. Again, that's browardschools.com/CIA. So let's begin with our first category of honorees, which is partnerships. There are many organizations whose partnerships have been of great benefit to the district. Today, it's my pleasure to recognize one such organization, very valuable partner to the district, and one I refer to none other than Bright Star Credit Union. Bright Star always stepping up to the plate without hesitation to help our schools and departments fill financial gaps and make programs like this one possible. Thank you for the time and resources you provide to help Broward County students. Your thoughtfulness, generosity, and dedication contribute greatly to educating today's students to be tomorrow's leaders. For their incredible commitment to Broward County Public Schools and amazing philanthropic endeavors, we honor Bright Star Credit Union, our 2020 Outstanding District Partner of the Year. It now gives me great pleasure to recognize the tremendous partnership our schools have with our community. Our first school-based partnership award winner, the Mobile School Pantry with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Montessori Academy. The Mobile School Pantry visits Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Montessori Academy each month to supply nutritious and healthy grocery items to students and families. This program is focused on creating a future without hunger, where every student has access to sufficient and nutritious food to learn and thrive. Congratulations to the Mobile School Pantry and to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Academy, the next school-based partnership award winner, the City of Fort Lauderdale with Atlantic Technical College and High School. The City of Fort Lauderdale implementing the avionics system technician program at Atlantic Technical College and High School to give students with transferable, sustainable workforce skills to prepare them for employment in the high-wage, high-skill aviation industry, as well as a wide range of other businesses. The City of Fort Lauderdale, the Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport enlisting 10 aviation companies to participate in an internship and mentoring program, providing real-life, on-the-job experience for students. Congratulations to the City of Fort Lauderdale and Atlantic Technical College and High School. Our next award, very special. It is the Superintendent's Student Award. This year, we have 2 students who are being recognized for their outstanding service to their schools and community. First, we honor Dana Yosef of Nova High School, who donated 3,245 service learning hours counseling students and creating activities that create teamwork and trust. She's identified as a leader at Nova High School and is known for her focus on developing and promoting programs as well as motivating her peers. Our second honoree is Chase Dietrich of South Plantation High School, who donated 3,139 service learning hours. He did not have keys to the school or school codes. One would think he did because he was leading technology expertise and lending that all the way in any way possible, all the events that took place on campus as well. Congratulations to Ms. Yosef and Mr. Dietrich. Everyone, please join me in a warm round of applause for all of the amazing organizations and individuals. All right, let's send it back to you, Angel.
Thank you, Eric. Now let's welcome to EdTalk, Dr. Deborah Posner, Executive Director for Broward County Public Schools, Office of Strategic Initiative Management for an overview of the district's 2024 strategic plan. And we have a special treat for you as students will be joining Dr. Posner during this session for a live debate on what is the most impactful strategic plan initiative.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gomez. And it is truly my privilege to serve as Executive Director for the Office of Strategic Initiative Management and to have been a teacher in this great school district. On the next slide, it's my honor to share with you an overview not only of our 5-year strategic plan, but of the process that went into developing this plan. And what I'm really proud to share here is that we had representation from all corners of our district. As you can see in this heat map, a total of 175,000 folks participated, lended their voices to this process. And of those voices, 68% were students. That's over 2/3. And what's important to know here is that we're always listening. We're always gathering your input and interested in evolving this plan to keep it relevant to you this day. On the next slide, I want to point out where you can access the plan and download our 1-page strategic plan poster at any time in 4 different languages. And that's at browardschools.com/strategic plan. On the next slide, I'd now like to zoom into that poster, focusing in on the top half and give an overview of our vision, mission, core values, and goals. Our vision remains educating today's students to succeed in tomorrow's world. Our mission remains educating all students to reach their highest potential. But what's new in this 5-year plan is our core values: student focus, teaching excellence, accountability, respect, and safety, spelling out the acronym STARS. And I'm so pleased to share that those core values were developed in a collaboration between students, teachers, faculty, administrators, and community members throughout the district. And our goals. What I'm really excited to share about our goals is that they have never stopped being our goals throughout the pandemic. Just like learning never closes, our strategic plan has never paused. We've never lost focus of ensuring high quality instruction, safe and supportive environment, and effective communication. And the next slide shows the lower half of our strategic plan poster, this 1-page summary of the entire plan. And what you see here are the 6 campaigns or major themes of our plan. And those are student experience, let's connect, refresh, redesign, and reduce risk, our data, our tools, retain, develop, and recruit, and support services for all. Within those 6 major themes, we have a total now of 20 initiatives. And what's really exciting to point out here, as I have circled in red, the newest initiative, Family and Community Engagement, under which this EdTalk event squarely aligns. And to reassure you, we have gathered data from past EdTalk events which have helped inform this strategic plan. And this was actually a request from the community to ensure that family and community engagement is a top-level initiative. And so we've made it one of our new initiatives here in year 2 of implementation. And what I'd like to do now is introduce 2 of our great debate students from Cypress Bay High School, Arlette Bravo and Jean Chian, who will debate for us which of these initiatives are most impactful to them.
In the face of tremendous change, from a global pandemic and social upheaval to a collapsing environment, it is imperative in this moment that we find a way to ensure that our community, and specifically its families, are provided for and uplifted. It is for this reason that I proudly affirm today's resolution. Resolved, the Family and Community Engagement Initiative, or FACE for short, is the most impactful initiative in the Broward County Public Schools 2024 strategic plan. This is predominantly because the FACE initiative focuses on communication, engagement, and responsiveness. Contention 1 is communication. The BCPS 2024 strategic plan clarifies that one of the tactics of FACE is to expand and promote the number of translations available to ensure a broader reach. Additionally, the plan seeks to streamline and focus communications and engagement activities to those which are culturally relevant across varying audiences. Facilitating this is critical for raising voices from those who are not often considered, such as religious or ethnic minorities, making education more accessible and open to all. The initiative also aims to increasingly leverage existing communications channels through community partners to promote input and instruction district-wide. Contention 2 is engagement. Through expanding internal and external partnerships to create a centralized site for online resources and learning opportunities, the possibilities are quite endless. FACE facilitates professional development opportunities for schools around best practices in community engagement. This is a long-term impact, one that can empower Broward students for the rest of their lives. This also allows for previously excluded stakeholders to facilitate and participate in community meetings, focus groups, and other forums for listening and engagement. Contention 3 is responsiveness. At a time where the grand majority of students are taking online school, the environment that is most conducive to their learning is at home. The initiative's sustained feedback loops breach the online barrier between teachers and students. The loop functions as an iterative process to ensure long-term stability. Naturally, this builds trust among schools and their surrounding communities. All these traits are highly impactful towards the 3 ultimate goals of the 2024 strategic plan: high quality instruction, safe and supportive environment, and effective communication. The FCE initiative provides a solid, unique foundation to achieve all of them. Thus, I proudly affirm.
I strongly urge you to negate the resolution. Resolve, the Family and Community Engagement Initiative is the most impactful initiative in the 2024 strategic plan. I negate for the resolution on the account of the strategic plan being more than the sum of its parts, and our true focus being students. The entire strategic plan is important and impactful. My sole contention in the 2024 strategic plan cannot function without all its initiatives working in content. The 2024 strategic plan has a wide variety of different initiatives, from social emotional learning to improving the safety of students and staff. All these initiatives focus on a different aspect of the education system that affects everyone involved in the system, from teachers, parents, and the primary focus of our system, students. All the initiatives have an impact improving the education system as a whole. Just focusing on one initiative as most important fails to take into account all the other initiatives in the plan that are intertwined to create the best impact throughout the education system. To illustrate this point, let's think of the 2024 strategic plan as a living organism, a dog, or even a human, like us. Not just one organ can be considered most important. All the organ systems work together to keep the organism alive and functioning. Due to all the initiatives being intertwined, like a cat or maybe even a hamster, we cannot claim that just one initiative is the most impactful. Not only does the resolution fail to account for the living organism that is the 2024 strategic plan, but it also fails to take into account the heart of our system, the students. By suggesting that the Family and Community Engagement Initiative is the most impactful initiative, we move the direction of communication from students to the parents. Students are our main goal, our heart, not the parents, our blood vessels. Students should be focused on our communication, as they're the ones affected by our changes the most. The Family and Community Engagement Initiative plans to add more language options to district messages. Even though this may sound like a pleasing offer, the messages already come in most spoken languages in our district and include some minority group languages. This initiative can allow more parents to be a part of the traditional education, but that is not the most important act in a huge interconnected organism. The affirmation claims that the Family and Community Engagement Initiative is the most impactful initiative in the 2024 strategic plan, but I, the negation, have shown you that their claims are false. This is why you must vote negation.
Wow, thank you so much, Arlette Bravo and Jean Chian. Excellent debate. I think you're both winners. And I especially appreciate the reference to our strategic plan as a living organism. And that's a perfect segue to this next slide, which speaks to our change management process, where we ensure that our strategic plan remains a living, breathing, dynamic document that regularly is updated to reflect evolving needs in our community. And we do listen, our listening tour is ongoing, and you can lend your voice through browardschools.com/strategic plan at any time if you have ideas of new initiatives which you would like to see incorporated in our plan going forward. And we do update it as needed following this change management process. And on the next slide, I'd like to conclude with one of my favorite strategic planning quotes by Malcolm X. Education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. So in closing, thank you so much for your great participation today and your ongoing help to prepare our students to succeed in tomorrow's world. Back to you, Mr. Gomez.
Wow, what a debate. Thank you, Dr. Posner, and our students from Cypress Bay High School, Arlette Bravo and Jean Chian. You are both, just like Dr. Posner said, you are both winners. That was a fantastic debate. It certainly motivates us to stay connected with the district's strategic plan as we work towards the success of our students and schools. We wanted to mention, now that we're talking about students, that students who are attending today's event will receive 3 service learning hours to get your sign. That you heard right. Let me go back. 3 service learning hours to get your signed form. Please complete and submit the post-event survey, ensuring that you do one thing for sure: you enter your email address on the survey. Okay, now back to recognizing Community Involvement Award winners. Let's take it away, Eric.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Community Involvement Awards winner recognition. As you just heard there, family and community engagement was added to the district's strategic plan, and indeed, it is truly an important initiative. So with that in mind, I'm excited to recognize the 2020 Outstanding Family and Community Engagement Award winners. These awards honor individuals and groups within schools for demonstrating remarkable family and community engagement. The individual winner for the 2020 Family and Community Engagement Award is Jacqueline Sanchez from Griffin Elementary School. Ms. Sanchez's mission is to educate students, staff, parents, and community members on the importance of promoting and living as good environmental stewards. Among her many contributions, Ms. Sanchez won a grant to educate the community on pollution and conservation and raised about $23,000 for enhancements. Congratulations, Ms. Sanchez. Next, the Family and Community Engagement Group Award goes to the Parent Teacher Association at Gator Run Elementary School. The Gator Run Elementary PTA created a multicultural festival which had more than 3,500 people in attendance and 25 countries represented. The Multicultural Festival brings the community together as students and families showcase their cultural heritage. Congratulations to the Parent Teacher Association at Gator Run Elementary School. Now I'm pleased to recognize and celebrate the terrific work of the district's mentors. Our first award is the Outstanding Mentor of the Year Award, given to 2 individuals, Commissioner Carol Shuham and Barbara Romano, for their mentorship at Hollywood Hills High School. As a part of the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program, these 2 amazing ladies are addressing the needs of teenage girls who are at risk of failure or dropping out of school. This year, all the seniors in this group are graduating. They have applied and been accepted into college with a variety of scholarship opportunities. Congratulations to Commissioner Shuem and Ms. Romano. Next, we honor the Outstanding Mentor Supporter of the Year, Genesis Rodriguez from Paragon Theaters. Ms. Rodriguez provides schools with private access to Paragon Theaters for students to participate in a variety of mentoring programs. The movies and conversations serving as a bridge for students and their teachers to bring life to history, science, math, and social studies classes. Congratulations, Ms. Rodriguez. Our final winner in this category, the Outstanding Mentor Group of the Year from Orange Brook Elementary School. We honor the Kings and Queens Knights and Princesses Mentoring Program. The Kings and Queens Knights and Princesses Mentoring Program teaches life skills, career options, philanthropy, and highlights the reward of hard work and giving back to the community. As a result of the program, academic performance and student behaviors have improved. Congratulations to the Kings and Queens Knights and Princesses Mentoring Program. Let's celebrate our outstanding family and community engagement initiatives, as well as our mentoring winners. Congratulations, everybody. Over to you, Angel.
Thank you, Eric. Wow, that was amazing. We really appreciate all that our mentors and the initiatives do to help our students. We now move to session 1, where we will learn about some of the district processes during the COVID-19 pandemic. To facilitate this session, let's welcome Ms. Kathy Koch, Chief Communications Officer, and Mr. Brian Katz, Chief Safety and Security Officer.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Koch. Welcome to session 1. Just a quick note inviting you to submit any questions you might have in the live event Q&A. Learning never closes, processes in action. When our school campuses closed abruptly on March 16th due to the coronavirus pandemic, we had to reinvent our education system overnight. The school district moved quickly to offer virtual learning to our students and provide professional development to support our teachers. We needed to continue to feed our children, so we opened feeding sites and we offered free childcare. After taking all the medical data and stakeholder input into account, the district put a plan in place that provides learning options to fit students and families' needs while keeping the health and safety of all individuals at the forefront of our decision-making. A lot of things have happened between then and now. But as we've said from the beginning, there is no playbook for how to navigate through what has been the most challenging environment we have ever known. The following video provides just a taste of some of the steps we've taken, so let's get started.
Today is a very important day as we start our school year tomorrow. We need to remember that although our campuses are closed, learning never closes in Broward County. Welcome to the start of the new school year. I saw a lot of great excitement. It's a very different start to a traditional school year, but it's still a day that we look forward to. This is Superintendent Runcie, and I'm so glad to see all of you and just welcome you back to the start of the new school year. Over 5,000 students who have housing insecurity, that are homeless, that are living in shelters, some even living in cars. Public education will be their ticket to change their circumstances. On Monday, we began our new schedule at our 51 district food distribution sites. The need is great and it's growing. Today is the day that we distribute laptop devices to our students in Broward County. I'm also urging and begging our federal government to pass additional coronavirus relief package that responds to the impact of COVID-19 and assists with the ongoing recovery by providing at least $200 billion to public schools across this country that serve over 50 million students.
The school district worked diligently to gather as much information and feedback as possible to develop protocols to keep students and staff safe. The intent is to ensure high-quality instruction and decrease the spread of COVID-19 while meeting the needs of students and teachers and maintaining safe schools and administrative buildings. Misters give a positive electrostatic charge to the disinfectant, causing each droplet to become powerfully attracted to its opposite charge on high-touch areas. The district has inventories of masks, gloves, face shields, and gowns for teachers. Plexiglass shields have been installed in common areas. Floor decals, posters, and A-frame signs are installed to communicate health and safety messaging. High touchpoint surfaces that are touched by many different people are cleaned, such as light switches, handrails, doorknobs, and handles. Wearing masks is mandatory. Air filters have been replaced to improve air quality. Thank you.
Hopefully, that video provided some insight into some of the amazing work done by district and school staff to help prepare for our fall 2020-2021 return to school. District has done since it was first faced with the COVID-19 pandemic has been predicated on our priority of health and safety for our students, teachers, and staff in order to create the safest environment where learning can continue with minimal interruption. The district led the state of Florida's school districts in transitioning to online learning in March, following concerns from our local health officials that the rise in COVID-19 might overwhelm the hospital healthcare infrastructure, given all of the unknowns about the virus at the time.
Our goal for communication was to keep BCPS families, parent organizations, staff, community partners, government, the community at large, and media informed and up to date. We started with weekly coronavirus updates, created a website, and we've utilized communication channels to inform about school closings and reopenings. We immediately created a back to school brand and weekly updates. We designed a website which is continuously updated, first for coronavirus, then for e-learning. The site also includes information about instruction for ESE students, field trips, and extracurricular activities, technology support, health and wellness protocols for in-school students, visitor and volunteer protocols, and adult education. The information can be translated into many languages using the translate button right at the top of the web page. We sent parent links, emails, robocalls, and text posted on the mobile app. We use social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and Beacon TV broadcast messages throughout the county and into Dade and Palm Beach. We wrote and distributed press releases and held press conferences. The superintendent's weekly videos were distributed to 500,000 recipients. For frequently asked questions, we wrote questions and answers in a variety of categories and asked for additional questions from parents that we would then answer and post on the website. Our switchboard operators were a source of information to what people were asking about, and we supplied them with answers to share with callers.
In addition, based on feedback we received from the community, we published a COVID-19 dashboard with the cases going on at each of our schools. The data shows the last 30 days worth of data to assist parents and families with decision-making about face-to-face e-learning. Parents and guardians can select their child's school and see by day any staff or student-related cases, as well as the total number since the start of face-to-face learning.
More than 6 million meals have been served to students since March, even when our campuses were closed. Pre-bagged grab-and-go breakfasts and now lunches and suppers are available for pickup. You can drive up or walk up by students and their families at more than 50 sites.
Device needs will continue to be addressed through the Technology Refresh Program. Teachers are at a one-to-one laptop allocation. We continue to expand and encourage bring your own devices into the classroom environment to support student one-to-one ratio for devices, and to maximize the use of desktop devices and redistribute them as needed. We are provisioning every secondary classroom with an audio-visual conferencing camera to enable efficiencies established through the district's synchronous e-learning model. ESE centers We are addressing the specific needs of specialized ESE centers such as Bright Horizons, Cross Creek, the Quest Center, Wingate Oaks, and Whispering Pines. The total student iPads that have been distributed are over 6,000, and the total staff iPads distributed are over 400. BCPS collaborated with Comcast and AT&T to provide low-cost internet services to many of our families by offering a 60-day free trial and then paying $9.95 per month for internet access. Our families were able to use their laptops at home and log into classes at school. In addition, our homeless challenge students have been provided access to free hotspots. In order to ensure that students would be able to learn virtually, the district distributed computer devices to students who needed them.
Input from our BCPS communities has been ongoing, and results of surveys have been considered when making decisions regarding how to open our schools and how to improve the education experience. From surveys, we learned from students, parents, and teachers that 98% of families now had access to a tablet, laptop, or computer, but that 45% of our students were taking care of others for part of each day, and 67% are not receiving any help from an adult at home. 57,000 parents, 14,000 teachers, and 8,500 students told us how they wanted schools to open and which modality they planned to choose. Hundreds of hours have been dedicated to listening, creating, and evaluating reopening plans. There were 8 public workshops where members of the community could share their ideas and concerns that provided input for Phase 2 reopening.
In July, the district recommended opening fully online for e-learning. Florida Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran, by emergency order, mandated school reopening classrooms in August at least 5 days a week and offering the full panoply of services, including in-person instruction. The district, in making decisions about when it would be safe to bring students back for face-to-face, has used the gating criteria that's displayed here. The 4 criteria being used are disease progression, ability to manage the spread, health system capacity, and district safeguards.
There were 3 main conditions necessary for the safe reopening of schools. The first, control the spread of the pandemic. The second, develop protocols that provide for the health and safety of students, teachers, and staff before their return to campuses. And the third, provide funding to cover the required protocols and measures they will need to take at schools. The proposed draft reopening plan includes health and safety protocols, strategies for improving the e-learning experience, and accelerating learning. There were additional laptop distributions in advance of school reopening. Our buses are regularly cleaned and sanitized.
In addition, the district has pushed out this daily health screening form to all of our students, all of our staff, and all of our parents. This enables a parent or a staff member to be able to look at the criteria and things they should be considering as it relates to COVID-19 in order to determine whether it is safe for them to go to work or school on that particular day.
The district has received funding to enable us to staff schools with at least 1 nurse and 1 health professional. With air quality being high on the list of what is needed to prevent spread, air conditioning filters have been replaced in all schools. More than 1,300 indoor air quality work orders have been completed since March 15th, and more than $1.2 million has been spent on indoor air quality improvements since March 15th.
The district has also distributed more than 300 electrostatic sprayers to assist with cleaning and sanitizing schools and district sites. Over 900 staff members have been trained to use these electrostatic sprayers as of November 2020. This includes facility service persons and bus drivers. Because of the potential of water fountains to be used for the spread of COVID-19, those have all been retrofitted so that now the expectation is that students will bring a reusable water bottle to school with them every day and use one of the over 700 water bottle filling stations that we have installed throughout our schools. The district has distributed more than 5 million items to try to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. This includes 3 million face coverings, 30,000 gallons of hand sanitizer, 1,500 thermometers, and in addition to that, the United Way donated 4,000 face coverings to our schools.
The district has provided plexiglass shields to be installed in high traffic areas, including guidance and registration, single point of entry, cashiers, and desks in media centers. Staff may also bring in additional barriers to use in their personal workspace. In order to educate and to be a reminder to anyone in our schools or administrative buildings about CDC guidelines for health and safety, more than 140 posters and signs have been distributed to schools to help facilitate physical distancing, wearing face coverings, and what to do if you're not feeling well, and other health safety protocols. 50,000 floor decals have been delivered to schools to assist with physical distancing. A-frame free standing signs for walkways and decals for the first step into our buses provide a gentle but constant reminder of what we must do to keep our schools safe and minimize spread. COVID-19 spreads mainly among people who are in close contact within about 6 feet for a prolonged period, 15 minutes. The district has taken measures to provide physical distancing to eliminate or minimize the chance of spread. Classrooms have been arranged with 6 feet between desks. Floor decals have been placed throughout hallways and cafeterias. Gymnasiums and other spaces have been repurposed to allow for optimal distancing.
In addition, our security staff will remain focused on the primary mission of protecting schools. Campus monitors and security specialists will work with school administrators and staff to help create a positive, orderly, caring, reasonably safe and secure learning environment by continuing to patrol schools, monitor parking lots and gates, and assist with school operations. ID badges are to be worn at all times by anyone on site and should remain visible. Even with face coverings, this will remain the first measure for student employee identification. Visitors should be admitted to school on a limited basis and by appointment only. There should be restrictions for the general public, vendors, and contractors. Front office employees and security staff have been trained on how to have safe interactions with visitors, and PPE has been provided and made available for visitor screening processes as appropriate. Schools will need to maintain accurate records of visitors, including the reason for visit, contact information, and all locations visited. District buildings should also establish routing instructions to avoid deliveries through employee or main entrances to minimize interactions and create our safety and security staff's protocols. Security staff will receive necessary PPE, including masks, gloves, sanitizers, etc. Workers must stay home if they feel ill. Safety and security training materials and schedules are being adapted for virtual delivery to all staff. Staff will participate in continued training on COVID-19 protocols based on latest CDC guidance. As there may still be limited student and staff presence on schools, all schools will have SRO or Safe School Officer presence as required by law. In addition, our buses are rolling classrooms, so we had to look at health, safety, and sanitation in a similar fashion, making sure students and our drivers are adequately spaced, that face coverings are worn at all time, and that our buses are sanitized.
Broward County Public Schools has worked with its partners to secure before and after school care services, before and after child care services throughout the district. At our website, browardschools.com, is a list of service providers along with an interactive map to help parents and guardians find your nearest provider. As a reminder, this list does not imply affiliation, recommendation, or endorsement of these services by the district, and some providers may be fee-based, but financial assistance may be available. Social and emotional learning provides ways to develop and manage our emotions, and mindfulness, which is paying attention to the present moment, are part of the wellness services provided to our students and staff. These services have become incredibly important during the pandemic, when nothing seems like it was before and we're all challenged to continue to learn, to teach, and to be productive in an unfamiliar environment. The district offers a robust mental health program to help students who need to talk with someone or if they're concerned about abuse. We suggest to all BCPS families and staff, become aware of what services are provided, especially around the holidays. We all may need a little help.
Thank you for allowing us this time to share the steps taken and services provided to create a healthy and safe environment so that Broward County Public Schools can continue to fulfill its mission of educating today's students to succeed in tomorrow's world. I'd now like to introduce Eric Chisholm, Director of Talent Acquisition, Non-Instructional, who will be facilitating the question and answer portion of today's event. Mr. Chisholm.
Good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to join EdTalk 2021 and to give our audience the opportunity to participate in this wonderful event. Thanks to those who have submitted your questions regarding the presentation that you just saw. As you heard, the district is doing amazing things to ensure that students continue learning. We're also making sure that our environments are safe and healthy for our students and staff. So let's get started with our first question. And again, we are continuing to receive your questions, so feel free to provide your questions and we are here to assist. In regard to the protocol that the district has outlined for all schools to follow in order to minimize the spread of COVID, how does the district ensure all schools are following the protocol? I'm going to call back Mr. Katz to help us with that question. Mr. Katz?
Thank you, Mr. Chisholm. That's a great question. So, while there continues to be concerns about what's going on within the community, the most important thing for us is about how we are implementing within our school environment. And the way that we are accomplishing that task is that our health, hygiene, and sanitation work stream puts out regular communications to school-based administrators on what those expectations are. In addition to that, we have 16 area security managers, as well as campus security managers at some of our more complex schools, who are there to help make sure that schools are implementing those protocols with fidelity.
Skaz, thank you for that. And again, we want to continue to receive questions from you all. And I don't want you to go away too fast because, as you can imagine, our audience is very concerned and they want to hear a lot about safety and security. So that takes me right to the next question. To keep the pandemic from spreading further throughout the schools, wouldn't it be better to close them down and go 100% virtual until it's under control? And the second part of that question is, not every parent plays by the rules. We need to protect everyone.
So thank you. Again, that's another great question. So for us, the real focus is on, as I mentioned earlier, what is happening within our schools. We can't control what's going on outside the community, but we engage with our public health officials and our private health officials, including Memorial, Broward Health, and some of the other providers locally on an almost daily basis to understand what's going on in the community. And then when we do have cases within schools, to determine where those cases came from and whether they're linked to in-school behavior. What we have found up till now is that the majority of cases that we're seeing are students who are bringing those cases to school and staff members who are bringing those cases to school versus transmission that is happening within our schools. We'll continue to monitor that, and if we find that that's changing, where we are seeing an increase in transmission within the schools, then we'll revisit what that looks like for each individual school. But at this point, we don't think that that should have a district-wide impact anytime soon.
I really appreciate that. Being a community member of the community as well, it is something very important that we do our very best and protect our families, our communities. These are very difficult times. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Katz. And I want to move forward. I know Ms. Koch is still here. I actually have a communications question that has come in, and it reads, how does the district share its news with the community?
Eric, thank you for the question. It's a good one, and there has a couple of different answers. We have a very broad community, and so the first thing we need to think about is, who is this message for? Oftentimes it could be for teachers, it could be for parents, or it could be for the whole community. If it's the whole community, we've been pretty successful in using the videos that have been produced by Superintendent Renzi. Every time we distribute them, it reaches more than 500,000 recipients. Social media for the whole community. If it's parents and if it's families, parents would know that they receive emails, robocalls, texts. They'll find something on the mobile app. They will be reached through various ways. And then we look at the media. The media helps us, again, to get the message to everybody, including the business community. So with media, we send out press releases, we pitch stories, and then we also have press conferences. when we do send out some of our press releases, we have different audiences that we want to make sure receive them. So we have a myriad of different channels that we use, and we really tailor them to the audience, hoping that wherever they're looking, that's where they're going to see our message.
Thank you, Ms. Koch. I really appreciate that. And as you know, as a part of our agenda, in a moment, I'll be bringing things back to you. But one of the things I want to share with our community is that we're continuing to receive questions, and this is a time segment in this specific area. But you must know that we, throughout this presentation today, we have a town hall that will come up at a later time, which will provide us a greater opportunity to answer more of your questions. So don't feel that if your question wasn't answered at this time or was not read, we certainly hear from you, and we definitely will be providing an opportunity at a later time in the segment to respond to those questions. So we want you to stay excited and engaged and let you know that it's a full transparency here, and we want to keep you all where we are. So at this time, I want to bring Ms. Koch back to wrap us up. Thank you, Ms. Koch.
Thank you, Mr. Chisholm. And thank you, everybody, for your questions. Thank you to my colleagues for your answers, to Brian now, my colleagues in the future. So here we are, we're a world away from where we were last March. We've learned a lot from what you've seen in the presentation today, not only about our education and how to care for our students and teachers, but also how important the behavior of our community is in allowing us to keep our school campuses open, how the pandemic itself continues to change, and how the prospect of being able to receive a vaccine has lifted hope for all of us, a return at some level of life before COVID-19, and how every challenge brings about change and growth. Over these last months, we felt the influence of government as a partner in our decision when and how to open. We've appreciated recently that the governor and Florida Commissioners of Education's new executive order on school reopening is consistent with our own approach in terms of moving forward, as was mentioned by the superintendent earlier. That executive order continues to give parents the flexibility to choose the learning option best suited for their student while also providing financial stability to our district. But it does require struggling students to switch learning models unless their parents or guardians sign a waiver that they understand the educational risks that are not just short-term, but could have long-term consequences. We'll continue on. If the learning modality is not working for you or your student, we encourage you to make the decision that will help make your students successful. We do have some good news about the well-being of our schools. All of our health and safety protocols in place are working. Our schools are safe. The management of the pandemic and schools across our country, in our school as well, are not places for the transmission of contracting the virus. We've reported over 740 cases here, but just a handful of cases actually are contracted within the school district. And more good news, Broward County Public Schools Computer Science Initiative is serving as a national model for broadening participation in computer science in our schools. Over the next 4 years, BCPS will participate in 3 computer science grants, which were recently awarded by the National Science Foundation. These 3 grants focus on increasing participation in computer science education among underserved groups, including minority students and students with disabilities. The total of the grants, $3.3 million. And along with the challenges, there were many other positive outcomes for the pandemic. Our debate team held the first virtual webinar and has been doing so many things so successfully virtual. We know that our graduations were sorely missed last year, and we're looking forward to them this next year. But the virtual graduation plans that were created for seniors were so amazingly creative. And the schools had honored the graduates with drive-by parades that made the news all the time. The district partnered with Harvard Public Education Leadership Project, Chiefs for Change, McKinsey, and their input really made our thinking so much broader. So amid a pandemic, we learn, we grow, and positive things are happening here at Broward County Public Schools. And now back to you, Angel.
Thank you so much, Ms. Koch. Thank you so much, Mr. Katz, and for a very informative session. And also, let's not forget, thank you so much to Mr. Chisholm, who will be facilitating our Q&A sessions that remain. We will now have a brief presentation on a very important topic. To speak on mindfulness, let's welcome Ms. Carlin Sanangelo, Social Emotional Learning Team Lead and Mindfulness Specialist in the Office of Student Support Initiatives and Recovery. She will be followed by Ms. Arti Suresh, one of our student mindfulness ambassadors from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Take it away, ladies.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez, and hello, everyone. For our mindfulness break, we'll start with a basic definition of mindfulness: paying attention to the present moment with kindness and curiosity. That awareness is the foundation for social and emotional learning, such as self-awareness and social awareness, which in turn provides the foundation and connections, offering opportunities for a warm and welcoming learning environment. Research shows that mindfulness cultivates self-regulation, improves focus, builds better relationships, and fosters resilience, developing ways to respond versus react to challenges. Broward County Public Schools students are receiving 10 minutes of mindfulness during each school day. Staff and families also have access to social and emotional mindfulness learning toolkits with resources, mindfulness recordings, and research. The link will be added to Q&A so everyone can access it. Broward's mindfulness partners provide research-based programs such as Inner Explorer, what you see on the slide here, that shares high-quality mindfulness audio recordings, free for Broward County Public School families and students, as well as being offered in some classrooms. Other partners like Rethink Ed provide cell lessons, social and emotional learning lessons, and student surveys. I'd like to introduce Arti Suresh, who's a senior from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and has been trained by the Center for Mind-Body Medicine with their trauma-informed approach to mindfulness. She is one of our lead student mindfulness ambassadors and leaders. We invite you to participate in this practice, to observe the present moment with kindness and curiosity. Arti?
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Carolyn, for that wonderful introduction. As she mentioned, my name is Arti Suresh, and I'm currently a senior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I have an immense passion for mental health, so I work with the district to implement comprehensive mind-body programs all across Broward. Today, I'm going to lead you through a beneficial mind-body practice we like to call soft belly breathing. So I want everyone to start by taking a deep breath and allow your eyes to close and find a comfortable spot in your chair. If you are not comfortable closing your eyes, then you can just find a soft gaze on the floor or whatever is in front of you. Begin to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is a very relaxing way to breathe. It may be a little unfamiliar at first, but you will get used to it after a bit. Allow your belly to be soft and relaxed. If the belly is soft and relaxed, more air goes to the bottom of the lungs, where the oxygen exchange is better and feeds all your cells in the body while improving metabolism of the working cells. To encourage this process, you can say to yourself, soft as you breathe in, and belly as you breathe out. If thoughts come and let them go, and gently bring your mind back to the words soft, belly. As your belly is soft and relaxed, it helps to activate the vagus nerve. This nerve wanders up through your belly, through the chest, into the brain. It quiets the body, slows heart rate, improves digestion, and helps your muscles to relax. It also quiets the mind, the vagus nerve is the antidote to your fight or flight, otherwise known as your stress response. Continue to breathe deeply into the nose and out through the mouth. Again, thoughts come, let them go, and return your awareness back to your breathing, focusing on the words soft, belly, if your belly is soft and your abdominal muscles are relaxed, then all the other muscles begin to relax as well. And perhaps you feel that now as you exhale. Now I invite you to take this time to take 3 final deep breaths. To breathe deeper into your lungs on each breath. Now open your eyes when you're ready and stretch and let your attention come back to the room.
Thank you, Arthi. And thank you. Back to you, Mr. Gomez. Be well, everyone.
Thank you, ladies. It takes a lot to calm this down. And Arthi, you did it. Thank you so much, Ms. San Angelo, for sharing very valuable information about mindfulness. This is a very important practice that is needed, especially during these very interesting times. And to our wonderful student, Arthi, thank you for taking the time to lead us through that activity. It was great. Woo. I needed that, and I'm feeling revitalized. To move on with today's program, we now move on to our second session, where we will talk about e-learning, the classroom of the future. To prepare us for this topic, we will have a student debate on, is e-learning an effective alternative for in-person learning? From Lauderdale Lakes Middle School, Please welcome Malaysia Black and London Vincent.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be affirming the resolution e-learning is an effective alternative to in-person learning. My first contention is that kids can learn from anywhere. According to the University of Illinois, the main advantage of asynchronous online learning is that it allows students to participate in high-quality learning situations when distance and schedule make on-ground learning difficult to impossible. Students can participate in classes from anywhere in the world, provided they have a computer and internet connection. In today's world, students can be anywhere and still be able to go to class. Recently, I had to go to the eye doctor, but because school was online and not in person, I was able to still join class and not miss anything, while saving the time and resources it will take for my parent to go out of the lake, sign me out of school, drive me to the appointment, and drive me back. Our modern busy world demands this flexibility. Therefore, e-learning options provide even more accessibility than traditional in-person learning. My second contention is that online school reduces bullying as well as other opportunities for negative interactions between students and their peers. According to the previously mentioned article from the University of Illinois, in the online environment, learners have a certain amount of anonymity. Discriminating factors such as age, dress, physical appearance, disabilities, race, and gender are largely absent. Instead, the focus of attention is clearly on the content of the discussion and individual's ability to respond and contribute thoughtfully and intelligently to the material at hand. Because learning is virtual, people don't think about how the other looks when they are speaking and can just focus on what they're saying, leading to less bullying. Additionally, peer-to-peer interactions happen in a more controlled environment, which leads to increased positive dialogue interaction among students who may not normally engage with each other or the teacher in a traditional setting. This increases confidence, helps students establish their own individuality in the class, build social and emotional skills, and promote safe space within the classroom setting. For these reasons, I affirm that e-learning is an effective alternative to in-person learning. Now I'll give the floor to my opponent.
Virtual learning has done a lot for both students and teachers, but was this experience overall effective? Or did virtual learning increase stress and enlarge disadvantages for people who genuinely want to learn? I negate the resolution, e-learning is an effective alternative to on-campus learning. First, I want to discuss the term effective learning. I personally feel that on-campus learning is a lot more beneficial to students. My own experience included, since virtual learning has started, different stress levels have increased and more disabilities have been enhanced. A lot more and many others who take virtual learning feel this way. My sole contention is e-learning creates more problems for students and teachers than in-person learning due to this increased stress and lack of reliability. All this stress and anxiety could and most likely will take a toll on my mental health. From NPR, the site says almost 40% of parents say their high schooler is experiencing a lot more stress from online school. Conducted by the Johnson Foundation and the Harvard School of Public Health, in most cases, this stress is from academics and not bullying or social issues. The poll found virtual learning has overwhelmed students and teachers with stress from unreliability of technology and the lack of social interaction and high quality instruction that we depend on. Although e-learning is an alternative for on-campus learning, it most definitely isn't the most effective. In-person learning is more reliable and thus more effective. On-campus learning provides a set schedule, the ability to socialize organically, and you do not have to worry about having to rely on technology as much. I recently conducted a survey on my peers to assess their feelings on both e-learning and on-campus learning. Based on this survey, 75% of students said they did not prefer e-learning, and an astounding 83% of people felt on-campus learning was more effortless for them. From my individual experiences in class, many students were not able to complete certain assignments due to microphone issues or lack of unstructured space for social interaction. Many people are subjected to a drop of good grades and a rise of stress and problems that are unique to e-learning environments. Human contact has been scientifically proven to reduce stress and build trust. PlushCare, a mental health website, compared their results and found that students who experienced more interactions with others had lower stress levels. It is evident to see that e-learning cannot provide an effective alternative to in-person learning. For these reasons, I negate the resolution.
Is anything really reliable in 2020?
Some things can prove more reliability than others, although most stuff is not reliable due to the pandemic. In-person learning is more reliable.
Also, don't we still have to use technology when we go to school, especially with most of our work being online?
Although we do have to use technology during in-person learning, we use it as not logging into Zoom, meaning we can speak to our teachers directly about our problems.
Okay.
What makes students who are taking virtual classes have anonymity, and what about that is beneficial?
They can hide themselves just in case they're shy, and it's a good thing because when kids, they can still speak. So when they go to the classroom, they're already comfortable speaking around the people.
Cyberbullying does exist, right?
Yes, but I also said it's in a controlled environment.
Wouldn't you agree that in-person bullying gets solved more efficiently?
Yes. Only failed to mention when asking me the question is there cyberbullying that I said in a controlled environment, meaning that the teacher can control what's going on. If there is a student causing a problem, the teacher can mute them. And if the teacher is away and misses something and the student is causing a problem, online meeting is recorded so they can look back at it. Also, with the flexibility of online school, not only can students go to school anywhere, teachers can also teach from anywhere. For example, my math teacher is all the way in Minnesota, but since online school is online and not in person, she's still able to teach. So now I demand you all who have listened today to support this resolution that e-learning is an effective alternative to in-person learning.
Virtual learning isn't a terrible idea, but to call it an effective alternative to on-campus learning is preposterous. Although e-learning has some advantages, the qualities of on-campus learning completely exceed that. Stress levels decreasing, human socialization, and not working with unreliable technology as much of the immense qualities of on-campus learning. My opponent said, virtual learning allows students to take school everywhere, but that contempt to leaving students and less attention on the lecture. To the viewers, these many reasons are why you must also stand in negation of this resolution.
And now back to Mr. Gomez.
Whoa, Malaysia, London, amazing points, amazing counterpoints. In this debate, you are all both winners. That was amazing. That was an incredible debate. I am constantly in awe of our students. Thank you for this information, which prepares us for this session. Now, I would like to pause to give a quick reminder for those students attending today's event. We've gotten a lot of questions online from the students who are participating. Even if you haven't signed up, even if you're on, don't forget that to get your service learning hours, that will be 3 of them, you need to complete and submit the post-event survey. You qualify. You're watching, you're on, you're in, we're answering your question live. Make sure that you're ensuring that you enter on that survey at the end your email address. Don't forget your email address. That makes it unique and allows us to send you the information. With that in mind, now let's welcome our facilitators for this session on e-learning, Mr. Daniel Gohl, Chief Academic Officer, and Dr. Daryl Diamond, Director of our Innovative Learning Department.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here at EdTalk. And as you have just heard from our students, e-learning has been an experience of intensity with lots of very strong opinions. We know that in March, we had a forced migration away from our physical classrooms into this new digital world. And instead of reporting to our classrooms through doors, we were now doing it through windows. And it's a very strange world. And as with any kind of forced migration, some people are familiar with the languages, traditions, and behaviors of their new environment, and others are totally lost. We want to talk about what we have learned since March, almost 9 months now, and what it is we are going to do to set up our classrooms for tomorrow, because we will never be able to go back to just the way it was. We have the opportunity to build from the best practices of in-person learning and to learn the best practices of e-learning and to combine them so that while learning never closes in Broward, our learning never stops and we're able to move forward. So in the next few minutes, we're going to talk about what it is we have learned and what will our classrooms look like in a post-COVID world. To join me today is our Director of Innovative Learning, Dr. Daryl Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Gold, and good morning, everyone. We have been on a very interesting journey these past few months. In March, we closed our schools, and from March through June, we entered what we called emergency distance learning. Over the summer, we delivered professional development, allowing us to open up remotely in the fall. Now we are in a combination model where some students are at home and some students are in class. Mr. Gold, you have a favorite expression, and you say weed, feed, and seed. Can you tell our audience what you mean by that and how it can affect how we return to school post-COVID?
Thank you, Dr. Diamond. Weed, feed, and seed. It's a way of thinking about what continuous improvement means. And within our strategic plan, which you heard about earlier, we talked about the need for continuously improving based on what we as an organization are learning. Whether that's a student, a teacher, a principal, a director, the superintendent, the school board, we as a community ourselves, we must be continuous learners. Continuous improvement, continuous learning means examining and reflecting on what we've done and then taking action in order to get better. Weed, feed, and seed is a way of combining reflection and action into a practice. First, we need to reflect on and examine what is working and what is not. And we need to first stop doing what is not working. That's weeding out from our behaviors, from our bureaucracy, from our day-to-day activities, things which are not positive, things which are standing in the way of us getting better, either because they have no return or they're in fact obstacles. But being brave enough to weed out things we've always been doing is difficult. Then we need to seed. Then we need to feed. We need to examine those things that are working and deepen our commitment to those. If we've weeded out activities that have taken up time, we should have more time to feed those activities that are positive. So if we weed out what doesn't work and we feed what is working, our next task is to look for new activities, to look for practices that are in some schools that should be in all schools, to look outside of Broward and see where in Florida, in the United States, other things are going on that we can learn from, and then to be part of a global discussion of what 21st century should look like and be willing to seed new practices here in Broward. Weed out what isn't working, feed what is, and seed our new activities. Daryl, that's what I mean by weed, feed, and seed.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Weed, feed, and seed help us to focus on our guiding principles. Next slide, please. Having developed multiple contingency plans, we delivered devices and digital applications for students to use whether they're at home or in class. A new term has been floating around called Techquity, where not only do we want students to have access to digital materials and devices, but also to be able to utilize the technology in meaningful ways and ways in which they will benefit from. We continue to give support to our families and employees and offer ongoing professional learning opportunities to our instructional and non-instructional staff. Mr. Gold, how is what we have gone through helping to transform education as we know it? And can it create a new paradigm for public education?
I believe that it must create a new paradigm for public education. We talked about our forced migration away from our physical classrooms, and we have begun a slow return to them. But we also now have an experience of using digital technologies in completely new ways to break down walls to decouple ourselves from the clock and seat time, which the superintendent spoke to so passionately earlier. I think that there are several things that we can really focus on as we return to this mixed environment of physical and digital for a single ecosystem where we are learning in the right ways at the right times to help each student. One is that the center, what we must feed, is the student-teacher relationship. No machine will ever replace the value of having a gifted artist and engineer of a classroom practitioner engaging with a group of students. But one of the things we did learn is that those students are not all doing the same thing at the same time. We need to have ways to personalize instruction and to ensure that what we do with students is a case management approach so that we as adults are coming together to talk about what each of those students needs and what the groups of students that we call classrooms and grade levels and schools do. This combination of personalization with case management is the direction that this new paradigm is telling us to go to. Location matters less. With the ability to connect groups of people and individuals across space and time, we don't need to always be in the same place. And this means we can better use our money, which is currently going for bus field trips, to focus on the ones that really matter. And when we can bring something in remotely and have more of them, we can also do that. We can use the right ways to bring kids together. And lastly, I'll focus on a new paradigm of that we can broaden opportunities. We can accelerate students by having more advanced placement, international baccalaureate, and ACE Cambridge courses across our schools. We can have better electives across our high schools that focus on African American history and feminist studies and other topics that our students are demanding that they get opportunities to. The ability to use technology to bring groups of people together at the right time is what this new paradigm will need to deliver.
You've painted a really great picture, and I'm looking forward to what it might look like when we return back to school after COVID. Next slide, please. As we heard from Mr. McGuire, Broward Virtual School has been the district's virtual school since 2001. Both Mr. Gohl and I know that there are some profound differences between attending a virtual school and what we are currently doing in this combination model. In a typical virtual school, instruction is conducted asynchronously. That means not necessarily at the same time. Students do not necessarily need to meet with their teachers on a daily basis, and they determine when, where, and the pace in which they want to conduct their learning. Mr. Gohl, what do you see as the differences between what we are now doing with our combination model in contrast to what we do with our virtual school?
For both our virtual schools and what we are doing here in Broward known as e-learning, it's important to understand what they have in common. The state of Florida has the same standards for outcomes by grade level and by course at the high school level of what kids need to know and can do. The differences are in how students spend time. Virtual learning is heavily biased towards asynchronous or students working on their own without direct supervision. Our e-learning model is fundamentally still tied to groups of students working collaboratively with teachers in fixed timeframes. We have a start bell and a stop bell in e-learning. We do not have that in the virtual world, where students have date deadlines by which they need to submit work. Both work on a calendar year, but virtual courses can be done in a variety of orders versus the e-learning model, which is building from our traditional approach. Each has something to learn from the others. As we move towards learning anytime, anywhere, we strongly encourage you to go to the Broward Virtual Schools website and to learn more about our e-learning model at browardschools.com/learning-never-closes.
I think that it's a wonderful opportunity for our students to have both the ability to attend virtual classes as well as participate in our e-learning model. Let's take a look at what it's like to be a virtual student at Broward Virtual School. Meet Sophia Marie, who is a 10th grader at Broward Virtual School. Producers, please roll the tape.
Hello, my name is Sophia Marie. I'm in 10th grade, and this is my first year attending Broward Virtual School full time. So let me walk you through a typical day of asynchronous learning. Logging in, I'm into VSA, which gives me an overview of all of my classes along with grades and percentage complete in the class. So I'm going to choose pre-calculus, and I'm going to log into my pre-calculus classroom. And once we land in the classroom, the first thing you're going to see is the home page. The home page is very important because it gives some contact information about my teacher and her office hours. So if I want to contact my teacher about anything, I use her contact information and I reach out to her during her office hours. So speaking of which, if I'm not understanding something in pre-calculus, there's a few things I can do to fix that. The first is watching some of my teacher's help videos where she gives us additional problems and tips and tricks on how to solve things. They're very helpful. I really appreciate them. The second thing I can do if the help videos aren't helping me that much is referring to my additional textbook. Now I use this textbook up here as all other students use because it relates to our grade book and our assignments that we have to do. However, if it's not really helping me, I can go into my additional textbook and view any other practice problems and information I need. I can also call my teacher and send her a message again within her office hours, say, hey, I don't understand this particular thing, and she'll come back and give me an answer. Now, if I need if I'm really not understanding something, I can book a help session. And this is basically 30 minutes where my teacher can tutor me on any, particular problems or lessons that I'm having trouble on. You pick a day and a time and your teacher will call you. So going into my grade book, this is another very important feature. I can see my pace chart along with my grades down below. So we're gonna keep that private. So in my pace chart, I can see what I have to turn in by the end of the semester per week, which is really nice so I can plan ahead. There's no surprises. Everything is laid out for me. This week, these are the assignments that I have to turn in. So it's very nice. I really like that feature. If we scroll down, you can actually see that I've only submitted one assignment. That is because with asynchronous learning, I can go ahead of my pace chart and finish my classes sooner. So I'm already in semester 2 of pre-calculus. So say, for example, I got a 60% on this assignment, and I wasn't very happy about that. I can go in, I can view my instructor's comments, and I can see what I did wrong. I can apply the corrections. I can learn from my mistakes, resubmit my assignment, and earn a higher score. So it's really nice. You get 3 submissions, and as long as you, turn it in, if you turn in the second time and you didn't do that well, you can turn in a third time and earn your high score. So it's very nice. Words truly cannot describe how humbled I am to be a BVS trailblazer, and asynchronous learning has changed my life for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia Marie, for that great overview of Broward Virtual School. It surely sounds as if you have great access to all of your teachers. As a district, we continue to look for technology. Next slide, please. Thank you. As a district, we continue to look for technology that can enhance our combination classrooms. We have recently delivered to middle and high schools the Poly Studio video bar to help connect students that are at home with their fellow students and teachers that are in class. The video bar can be connected to an interactive panel or connected to a wall-mounted projector or stationary, just used to follow a teacher delivering instruction in a lecture-style classroom. If we could go back one slide, please. Mr. Gold, I know that you've envisioned additional future use for these cameras. Please explain your ideas to our audience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Diamond. We, in examining what was going on successfully in our schools prior to COVID and what limitations COVID imposed on us when we moved to our spring model and then subsequently to our fall model of e-learning phase 1 and phase 2, discovered 2 main limitations which our teachers were experiencing. One is the ability to work with an individual student or to call a small group of students together. And through Microsoft Teams, we've addressed that with breakout rooms. But the other one was much harder to figure out how to address. And that's the freedom of movement, which our teachers had in their classrooms, where they could go and do a demonstration or use a whiteboard or move to another part of the classroom in order to keep the students engaged and focused, in order to make sure that they were using space well. Unfortunately, in e-learning phase 1, being tied to a laptop or a desktop computer at home with a single camera that had a very narrow view, our teachers were chained to that device. In order to address this in the fall, under the leadership of our school board and superintendent, and the implementation work of Dr. Diamond's team and the team of our Office of Information Technology, Broward County Public Schools procured cameras that allow the view to expand and multiple speakers to be heard. This frees our teachers from being chained to that camera at the laptop alone, to be able to say that they can now go and work on a board or walk across a room and do a science experiment, that students who are both in the room or at home can see the same material without having to bring the material to the computer. This was an incredible investment that is making a difference in our high schools, our middle schools, and now our elementary schools as well. Because our youngest learners don't do well being told to sit in a single spot, and they need to move while socially distanced. Our teachers need to move while socially distanced to ensure that instruction is the highest quality possible. We needed to procure the technology, deploy the technology, train on the technology, so that the technology fades in the background and learning continues at the highest possible rate. That is going to enable several things. In addition to classroom teachers being able to focus on better instruction in their class, we can now broadcast classes from school to school. We can make sure that the references of advanced academics and high-end electives are available across the county so that teachers can teach at schools X, Y, and Z all at the same time because they have kids passionate wanting to learn that information. In addition, we have the ability to record these lessons and make them distributed in an asynchronous way. These technologies, which are new this fall, are going to make a difference for years to come. We are preparing today's students for tomorrow's world, and that takes change. Dr. Diamond, back to you.
This really has been a game changer in delivering instruction in our combination classrooms. Let's take a look at how some teachers are currently using the Poly Studio video bar in their classrooms. Producers, if you could roll the next slide, please.
The district has purchased the Poly Studio video bar to help teachers deliver instruction to both students in and out of the classroom. Brittany Novotny and Gregory Weisner are two teachers from Sheridan Technical High School who are using the camera. Brittany can use the remote control to zoom in and out so that students who are at home can see what she's doing in the classroom. She can also walk around the classroom to work with students, and the camera tracks her by voice activation. The camera allows the students to interact with each other at a distance. In Gregory's classroom, students are reviewing an assignment being shared on the interactive board so that students at home and the students in class are viewing the document simultaneously. When Gregory stops sharing his desktop, students can see each other and further discuss the assignment. This district's investment in the Poly Studio video bar has helped our teachers and students collaborate at a distance, making attending school safe for everyone.
We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to build a robust digital ecosystem to supplement and connect with our incredible physical facilities in our schools. In order to do so, we need to make sure that students have devices as we move towards one-to-one. Bring your own device plus school-issued devices, ensure that everyone has it. Connectivity needs to be addressed, and we continue to advocate for internet connectivity, access to knowledge and information to be a public utility. But we need to do all of these things to improve the student experience. By deploying our learning management system, we've organized our content. By deploying devices and changing our schedules, we've organized our time to provide opportunities for teachers to design great learning experiences for our students. Students need to be producers of knowledge. We don't just need a screen. What we need is a way for students to create and move forward. We need to change our assessments so that we are able to take what students produce as representations of their knowledge and give them authentic feedback that will replace our worksheet-driven and multiple choice forms of assessment that have been traditional. Those were 20th century technologies and are fading in terms of their relevance for the 21st century. As Dr. Osgood said earlier, change is hard. Children have a need to grow every day, and we need to deploy technology to accelerate that growth. Students can learn to use these tools. In fact, they often learn it before the adults. We need to partner together to allow students and teachers to master and set their success for a lifetime.
Yes, Dan, and part of our digital ecosystem is our Launchpad and our single sign-on functionality so that we can access all of our curriculum content. And from the Launchpad, students and teachers can access a major component of our digital ecosystem, our Canvas learning management system. Next slide, please. Fortunately, Broward County Public Schools invested in the procurement of Canvas LMS 5 years ago. It remains our one-stop shop for access to curriculum content and instructional software, and enables us to continue to deliver instruction through our e-learning modality. Next slide. We have worked with our vendor partners to enhance our learning management system. With that partnership, we developed what is known as the Student Education Plan and Accommodations app, or what we call affectionately SEPA. Mr. Gold, can you detail for everyone what the SEPA app is and how it's been used to help teachers, students, and parents identify the accommodations and strategies for students with IEPs, with EPs, with 504 plans, and our ELL students?
Absolutely, Dr. Diamond. This is an example where BCPS listened to the teachers and found a way to move technology to meet the needs of teachers to spend more time with students. Our teachers knew that the curriculum was available in the learning management system, or historically in binders where they would need to go and look. But they had a completely separate way of accessing what needed to be taught from what accommodations students needed in order to become masters of that content. Over here were the expectations for teachers, but over here were the accommodations that students needed. SEPA represented a way of bringing them together. And by working with our vendor partners, every teacher now has the ability to see what accommodations a student needs in the roster of students in their class inside the Canvas LMS. This includes our exceptional student designations, our gifted designations, 504s for those who need particular accommodations, response to intervention, other health supports that students may need. By having a one-stop shop, teachers are able to design their lessons to meet the accommodations that each student needs. That's personalization. And beginning this spring, be able to document that they've delivered those. And that's a way for teachers to begin to understand if that's the right accommodation. This is a system focused on supporting teachers and students together. So thank you, Dr. Diamond, for allowing me to talk about that. I'd now like to talk about another learning that we've done. Next slide, please. I'd like to talk about another learning that we've done over the last few years that has only been exacerbated by our COVID situation. And that's the kind of records which our families get from the school system that students themselves have as they move forward. Traditionally, families get a report card, a transcript, maybe a diploma at the end, but those are sheets of paper. And each of those documents needs to be verified against the school district as an institution. What families have asked for is much more specific information about what students know and can do. This leads us to our new horizon, comprehensive learner records. How do we give more information to students and families in a way that they can use, that can be stored on a digital device, in a digital wallet? Their identity and their achievements, their needs and their accomplishments. This comprehensive learner record approach has begun to be deployed with our exceptional students and is now moving into our career and tech ed, where we have industry certifications and other things. But if we do full personalization with the ability for case management, our students and families need to lead with verifiable digital credentials that get to the level of what skills and experiences students have. And this is not just about the classroom. This can include the activities and after-school activities, clubs, other things that all this technology can apply for. We want to have students leave Broward County Public Schools learned, able to keep learning, but with a full record of what they've done. This digital learning currency is able to be spent on opportunity, which is what it is we go to. I believe that now we're going to have some questions and answers from Mr. Eric Chisholm. So let me hand it back over to Mr. Chisholm. Thank you so much.
Pardon my wipe down, but thank you for that patience. Now, I must tell you that we are receiving quite a high level of questions. And as I said earlier, we will do our very best, and in some cases, we will incorporate them at the very end. But I will share with you, I want to start, Dr. Hickman has responded to a couple of questions in the chat, and I would like him to provide some information. We have a lot of students who are asking about their cameras specifically, where they're actually having problems. Maybe their camera is not specifically working. So Mr. Hickman, Dr. Hickman, if you don't mind, just share with our audience live one of the responses that you provided to students that are not having a functioning camera, if you will, sir.
Sure. Students who do not have, good morning, everyone. I'm sorry. Students who do not have a functioning camera or microphone should inform their teacher immediately. The policy itself, as written, considers this to be an extenuating circumstance. My request or directive is to request a device from your school to help address these issues.
Thank you, Dr. Hickman. And it is so important that you all know that your voices are being heard. It's very important that you know we're in a live event, and we want you to stay engaged. We don't want to lose you. We want you to hold out. And just know that those Q&As will also be a part of our town hall. So we want to take big advantage of this opportunity to respond to you. And with that, Mr. Go, I'm going to ask you one of the first questions that came in regarding the classroom of the future. In our circumstances, why are we still being taught for a test? How will our curriculum change to reflect our situation and promote comprehension of concepts?
So, Mr. Chisholm, that's a wonderful question, and I thank whoever sent it in because it gives me an opportunity to build off what Dr. Diamond and I have already laid out. There are two main changes that we see coming. One is a transition from time-based assessment to competency-based assessment in order to make sure that what we are giving families is a knowledge of what their kids can know and do. And that's less about their age, their grade. It's about where they are on a roadmap to being college, career, and life ready. That's connected to trying to break apart seat time as a determinant of credit. This combination of promoting competency as the way of doing things breaks us from the traditional form of assessment. That means we need to change our curriculum to build time for students to demonstrate that competency. And the other is that time comes from rearranging our master schedules, our grade levels, and breaking apart the seat time requirement. We're working with our Legislative Affairs Department to create the statutory and regulatory changes, but in the meantime, at the local level, we're working with our school board to change policies in order to make the dream behind that question come true.
Thank you for that, Mr. Go. And don't go too far. I will share with you, lots of students are asking questions around, do we return back in January? So it's not that I will focus on that one question. I will tell you I saw a common theme around returning back to school in January, early return, will e-learning still be an option? And specifically, there was a question from a student that said, will the e-learning option be available after January? Can you help us with that?
I can. Thank you again for the question. The e-learning option will be available for second semester starting in January 12th for our quarter 3. Why is it continuing to be available? Because COVID is still here and we need to take all the safety precautions. But as the superintendent said earlier, this week, the governor commissioner put out an emergency order that requires the school district to inform parents of students that are not making adequate academic progress and strongly recommend that they return for face-to-face instruction. But the final choice of where a child goes to school, in a brick and mortar building or continuing through e-learning, is the family's decision. Families who receive notice based on adequate academic progress that their child is recommended to come home will need to complete in writing through a digital signature that they are opting for their student to go. But no matter what, no matter whether students are in schools or students are at home learning, we as a district will be not only continuing, but increasing our interventions to support students as we move towards the second half of the 2021 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. I know I've said this a little earlier. We continue to receive questions today, leading up to today's event. And so that just really shows that our community is really engaged, really looking to hear from us and for us to have this level of transparency. At this time, I do want to call Dr. Diamond back up because I have a question that is specifically is what is a combination model and how do you know it works?
Thank you, Eric, for the question. As the word combination implies, it is two things happening simultaneously. We've got students who are physically in class with teachers who have to stay 6 feet apart, socially distant, and we have students who are working at home. So the combination model is learning how to engage and work with both sets of students in meaningful ways so that everyone is staying on task and participating in the learning.
Thank you for that, Dr. Diamond. I will tell you, our nerves were a part of before we got here today, and I can tell you things are moving smoothly, and we appreciate you waiting for us and being with us as we navigate through this. And at one point, we were moving so rapidly and so smooth, we were ahead of schedule. And at this time, we've caught ourselves up, and it provides us with an opportunity to continue moving through the program, and certainly an opportunity to spend the time that we really need in the town hall as well. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Gold so that he can wrap us up in this e-learning environment section. Thank you, Mr. Gold.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chisholm. And we have gotten the question of, will these PowerPoint decks that have been presented today be available to the public? And the short answer is yes. And when you go and check out these decks that we've used today to present, I strongly encourage you to focus on this slide. This begins to lay out the overall picture of how a child is at the center of everything we're doing in terms of designing support and beginning to move them into a college career and life readiness. How we do that is the point of public education. And we believe strongly that by the public being together, we can make sure that education is a service that every child is able to receive. But the history of American education is kind of in 3 chunks, and we're at the beginning of the 3rd. The first century of American education was very much about home-based schooling in one-room schoolhouses. And then we began to pivot to where we constructed large schools, where we had kids come together into buildings. And now that 20th century model is becoming a 21st century model. We're moving beyond Carnegie units and seat time. We're able to say that learning takes place at any time, anywhere, that we're able to connect people remotely in a just-in-time way. What this looks like is known as an Ed 3.0 movement, where personalized competency-based education moves us forward. How we measure, can kids learn how to learn, and not just what knowledge and skills they have, but their ability to be learners. Because about half our students today will party like it's 2099 because they'll be there. And that's an incredible thought. What we do now will set the tone here in Florida for the United States and around the world for the entire 21st century. We are preparing today's students for tomorrow's world. We believe that we are making a great deal of progress, but we need your input, community, to know what it is we're getting right, what it is we're getting wrong, what it is we're missing, and that we are in it together. So thank you. Please look at the materials. We look forward to future conversations, and I'm handing it back to our wonderful host, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. They will be partying like it's 2099, but today we're partying like it's 2020 right here on EdTalk, coming live virtually to all of you. Thank you for being there, watching and learning with us as we move on forward. Thank you, Mr. Gold, Dr. Diamond, and Mr. Chisholm for a very informative session. And for the last time today, I bring to you my friend, Mr. Eric Yatsi, for our final Community Involvement Awards recognition.
Hi, it's me again with the final 2020 Community Involvement Awards recognition. Broward County Public Schools, proud to have some of the most awesome volunteers who donate hundreds of hours each year at schools. The 5 volunteer awards, just a small representation of the hundreds who are nominated for their volunteer awards. I'm sure there are many outstanding volunteers here today. Thank you to each one of you for your contributions. All the winners are doing wonderful things in a variety of ways and at a variety of schools. So let's meet them. Our first Outstanding Volunteer of the Year is a category of adult volunteer at the elementary level, and our winner is Bonnie Bengalis. Ms. Bengalis has been a tremendous asset in the growth and involvement of Sawgrass Elementary School with the community. Her magic touch with the school's events and activities results in amazing productions with more than 800 volunteer hours for the school year. Ms. Bengalis extends herself for school, staff, and families for the betterment of Sawgrass Elementary. Congratulations, Ms. Bengalis. Next category, the Outstanding Adult Volunteer of the Year for secondary level. The recipient of this award, Catherine Sample, volunteers at West Broward High School. Ms. Sample providing many hours of service to get students and parents involved in the competitive robotics team. Under her leadership, the robotics team qualified for the world competition in Texas. Thank you, Ms. Sample, and congratulations on your award. The next Outstanding Senior Volunteer of the Year, and our winner is Marilyn Slovet. Grandma Slovet, as she's known by all, helps students and staff with the programs and activities at Virginia Schumann Young Montessori Elementary School. She's recognized as an exceptional volunteer whose familiar face and interactive contributions brightens the school environment. Congratulations, Grandma Slovet. It is now my pleasure to honor the Outstanding Student Volunteer of the Year. For 2020, there are 2 student winners. First, from Cooper City High School, we honor Ms. Lauren Nassi. Ms. Nassi led numerous service projects, inspired her peers to participate in community service activities. Her creativity and interactions contributing in making the school a safer environment while also connecting students to their community. Let's celebrate Ms. Nassi for her award. The next Outstanding Student Volunteer of the Year award goes to Boris Hervé Cillian from Hollywood Hills High School. Whether he's planning activities, fundraising, or instructing children, Mr. Cillian demonstrates leadership among his peers. His hard work led to his representing the Davie Police Athletics League at the National Convention in Washington, D.C. Let's celebrate Mr. Cillian for this outstanding award. And our final volunteer award this year is new and recognizes an individual who contributes invaluable service as a member of the district's advisories and committees. The first recipient of the Outstanding Advisory Committee Volunteer of the Year award is Debbie Casey Espinoza. Ms. Espinoza, described as a leader who shows compassion, demonstrates integrity, and possesses strong interpersonal skills. She serves on several of the district's advisories and committees. Her tireless involvement and collaboration with staff have helped improve the lives of our children. Congratulations, Ms. Espinoza, on your accomplishments and your award. The final award category for the 2020 Community Involvement Awards, the Years of Service Award. This award recognizes volunteers donated at least 200 hours of service over 5-year periods. All of these volunteers listed on the Community Involvement Awards website. It is my honor to recognize the volunteers who have contributed 10 and 15 years of service. The volunteers who will receive their 10 years of service are Maria Garcia, Dr. Miles Glasser, Shamila Hanuman, Chandra James, Terry Rosler Maitri, Steve Wasserman. The volunteers who received their 15 years of service are Arfin Bari, Betsy Carter, George Hanna, Congratulations to Broward County Public Schools Years of Service awardees. Let's put our hands together for the outstanding volunteer winners and those who have served the district for so many years. This concludes the 2020 Community Involvement Awards winners recognition. Wow, how great was this? It is so clear. Broward is a community of caring people. Don't forget to read about the amazing individuals and organizations honored today at browardschools.com/CIA. It's been my pleasure and delight to be with you again this morning. We appreciate all of you waking up with us every single morning on Local 10. Big shout out, congratulations to all of our winners. I'm Eric Yutzi with Local 10 News. Be safe, be happy. Don't forget each and every day to catch the spirit, the Broward County Public Schools spirit.
And thank you once again from WPLG Local Channel 10, Mr. Eric Yutzi. And congratulations again to all of our 2020 Community Involvement Awards winners. Great job. And now I am so excited to share with you a new session that we're introducing this year on EdTalk. It is our town hall. And to facilitate this activity, let's welcome back none other than the amazing and very talented and most animated Mr. Eric Chisholm. Mr. Chisholm.
The good news is I don't get offended by animation. So thank you for that. I take that as a compliment. Thank you so much. And I will share with you, I have been watching many faces, certainly my colleagues, our school board members, and you all are shining on those screens. And certainly what we're getting from our community is invaluable. It is really invaluable. I want to start off by saying something to our students in this Q&A section. If you see the chat, our students are here. They're involved, they're engaged, and there certainly will be a reward for that. One, the learning opportunity, and two, certainly that you will be receiving those community service hours. So certainly at the end, we will give you more information on the community service hours. So we won't have to answer those questions individually, again, about the community service hours, because I can assure you, if you are here, you follow those guidelines that we give you, we will reward you with what you've already earned. So thank you so much. And let's really just jump right into this area because we do have lots of questions. And I also want to put another disclaimer because we have received hundreds and hundreds of questions. We are asking that our community certainly bear with us as we know that we will go through questions for about 30 minutes here. And of course, there's no way to answer hundreds questions here. But we are committed to knowing that we have to respond. I can't give you the timeline exactly now because we have hundreds and hundreds of questions, but we will post those responses to those questions. And also, I just want to lastly point out that there's a theme of questions that are coming in. Some of those questions will be answered here. And I just want to reiterate, maybe your question verbatim is not read or responded to, but I think you will walk away with a response to a question that you have asked of us. So with that, I am going to start off with my favorite question specifically. It's been a few mango seasons since I've attended prom, but I will tell you it is something that is near and dear to my heart. So at this time, I have a student body that asks the question is, what is 2021 prom and graduation situation? So Dr. Valerie Wanza, are you here with us? And can you show us that great smile and respond to that question?
Good morning, Mr. Chisholm. Yes, I am here. I am Valerie Wanza. I am the Chief School Performance and Accountability Officer. And I'm going to start by saying, you know, we certainly recognize that graduation from high school continues to be one of the most coveted rites of passage in our country. And it really broke our hearts, not only as a school district, but as a local community, when the class of 2020 could not participate and be a part of and have those opportunities to see and feel the normal pageantry and traditions that come with high school graduation. I can tell you that we did our best to create some sense of normalcy, to recognize all of their accomplishments, and to wish them a successful transition into their next phase of life. For the class of 2021, it is definitely our intent to still have proms and graduations as we would have normally had them for the class of 2020 and for all of the preceding graduation classes. High schools are securing prom venues right now. We are certainly securing the venues for our high school graduations. If conditions change in our community, we will definitely communicate early and communicate often with our families. But one thing that was born out of the class of 2020 that we are certain our community will come together and assist us with, and making it a new part of the pageantry and tradition of graduation, will be those famous graduation parades. But yes, it is definitely our intent to have prom and graduation for the class of 2021.
You made my day, Dr. Wanza. Not saying that I will get to go to the prom, but I tell you, over the few years, I have chaperoned proms, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And another component that I'll add to this is last year, I did commit to my fellow Panthers that I would put my paw up today to represent Dillard. I am an alumni at Dillard High School. And what I want to share with you, there was a young man was taking some pictures, and Dr. Wanza was going out to his home, and they borrowed my actual covering for my prom, my graduation. And for me, that is something that was very rewarding for me to be a part of that. So students, families, I want you to know we're doing our very best to ensure that you have levels of normalcy. And so with that, I'm going to go to my next question. We're living in unprecedented times with COVID-19. Will a mental health curriculum be implemented within the Broward school system? Dr. Hickman, I think that is for you, but I will also tell you we are getting questions on mental health. So I don't want you to limit your response to what was asked there. I would also like you to respond to the fact that people are asking about mental health. So whatever you can give us around that, and I will repeat that question. We're living in unprecedented times with COVID-19. Will a mental health curriculum be implemented within the Broward school system? Dr. Hickman, I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. As of December 1st, 2019, the Florida State Department of Education implemented mandates that required students to receive 5 hours of instruction, mental health education annually for grades 6 through 12. So during the 2019-20 school year, the district created a comprehensive mental health mandates course within our learning environment, such as Canvas. So by integrating EverFi's instructional materials, supplemental district resources, we were able to meet the content requirements of the mental health instructions before we even came into March with COVID-19. But as we've grown, we've expanded that. So using the critical skills development, mental wellness, basic courses, and prescription drug safety materials, the leadership teams have been able to implement materials and have offered additional selected items for our students. So in one word, the answer is yes, we do have a curriculum. Yes, we will continue to implement such. We've expanded our mental health instructional materials by utilizing Suite 360, the mental health prevention programs developed to help students navigate a wide range of issues related to mental health, substance abuse, human trafficking, and they receive a minimum of 5 hours of mental health education annually. Now, to respond to some of the questions in the chat about where do children go for help, this year during the pandemic, we were able to create a new app that was exclusive to Broward County Public School students. This app is called Talk. Tell Another, listening is key. When students log on to their single sign-on, that icon is available for them. If they were to select the icon, they would be able to contact a counselor or a mental health professional. Now, it's not immediate, but we're trying to get back to the student within a day. Also, for those who are struggling out there and who need some mental health assistance, Talk is one of the ways you can go. It's somewhat anonymous, and we'll reach back out to you. But please do not skip past your school counselor. Notify someone at your school, your teacher, the administrator. But you can also, if you feel uncomfortable notifying someone at the school, you can always call. Your first call for help is 211. 954-537-0211. 211 Broward will help you. There's also the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. But we also have a crisis text line here in Broward. You can text HOME to 741-741. And lastly, there is a mental health hotline through Broward County Public Schools, 754-321-HELP. Now, I know I've gone through these pretty quickly, but these things are available on our Student Services webpage, and it's easily accessible. But if you can remember the Talk app for our students, it's right on your single sign-on page.
Thank you, Dr. Hickman. Dr. Wanza and Mr. Sullivan, I want to tag team you two because there's two elements. I'm in the chat live, as you all are, and we continue to get from our students. And one of the questions, Mr. Sullivan and Dr. Wanza, is what is the easiest and most effective way to get community service hours? And to just piggyback on that, the question goes in, how many community service hours do you recommend a freshman to have by the end of the school year? I think it's a combination question. I think it just ties right into our community, our students, and what their questions are. So, Mr. Sullivan, if you could start us off, and Dr. Wanza, if you would add anything to that.
Sure. John Sullivan, thank you, Mr. Chisholm. The easiest and most effective way for our students to get community service hours is for our students to ask their school volunteer service coordinator for suggestions. Or another great tool is the website, and that website is handsonbroward.org. Again, that's handsonbroward.org. There you'll find a vast array of in-person and, more importantly, in this environment, virtual opportunities. It's also important to note that at this time, the state is still requiring a minimum of 40 community service hours to graduate. Dr. Wanza, did you want to tackle how many hours they should have in their freshman year?
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. So as Mr. Sullivan said, the graduation requirement is a minimum of 40 hours. We know that many of our students spend a lot of time investing their talent and their resources into improving conditions in our community. We know that many students are looking to earn the Bright Future Scholarship, which does require a higher number of service hours. So given that the conditions that we're in, I would say, and I would suggest that at minimum, students should start to earn anywhere from 10 to 20 hours in their freshman year, and then start to pace themselves along their 4-year trajectory as they are working through high school graduation. But again, remember, yes, 40 hours is the minimum for high school graduation, but students who are looking to earn the Bright Future Scholarship or other types of scholarship or service recognitions, you need to know that that number will definitely exceed 40.
Thank you. I'm learning better in this live event. I was instructed to pause before I speak so that I can wait for that beautiful red box to come around my name. So I'm very receptive to being redirected. Thank you, sir. I have a producer to my right here. Just to top that off, have a mom, dad here in the chat that was asking specifically about their sons being able to get on. But if you go to browardschools.com EdTalk, or our main page, if you just go there, if you've logged out or if you've gotten kicked out, just go back to that home page. You can access this event as we're still live at this point. Thank you for that question. With that, I will move forward. And I actually have more of an academic question, and this will probably most likely be for Mr. Gold. Will the previous FSA that was skipped because of COVID have to be made up?
Thank you so much for the question. As we all know, the spring of 2020 was an exceptional year, and one of the consequences that the state of Florida did was to cancel the Florida Standards Assessment, known as the FSAs, and the end of course exams, known as the EOCs. The graduating class of 2020 had those exams erased for them. They were waived completely. For most other students in grades 3 through 12, that was also true, but there are two exceptions. Students who were in the mandatory end of course exam courses of Algebra 1 or English 10 will either need to pass those tests or get a concordance score on the SAT or ACT in order to graduate from high school. While algebra is often taken in the middle school, it's also taken in the high school. Those students will need to make sure that they have it, and our counselors will be working with you to move that forward. And you'll need to make sure that you have an SAT score that crosses the minimum threshold. And again, our counselors will work with you. Fortunately, Broward County Public Schools does offer an SAT school day, so that if you want to get it out early, go and sit for the end of course exam this school year or sometime before you graduate, or wait for your SAT score and see that you score high enough to get the concordance. So only for Algebra 1 and English 10 do those need to be made up.
Mr. Go, is it possible for a second, we will have a transition and I'm just looking, I have two more questions for you specifically. It gives us opportunity to clean off your podium before I call up the next person. So if you could hang out for a second with me.
Be glad to.
Thank you. As we are basically all doing online classes, will there be more online opportunities for students, mostly geared towards seniors under the age of 18 to get extra service hours for scholarships?
Yes, Mr. Chisholm, there will be. We have been working, and I want to give credit to our high school principals for demonstrating great leadership around this, but also their colleagues in the middle schools, to make sure that we are using the lessons learned under COVID in e-learning phase 1 and phase 2. And now as we pivot to the spring, to deploy those lessons into changed experiences. You'll see changes on your course card selections. You'll see changes in the kinds of clubs and extracurricular activities you can do as we can connect students, sponsors across schools. We have an opportunity to do some exceptional things, and community service hours is one of those things. We certainly know that in the fall, launching Ask Bria, our Broward Remote Instructional Assistance Program has done incredible things, and we are exploring ways where older students may be able to help mentor younger students in such a program as people are getting through Ask Bria. There's a lot of possibilities. We'll only be able to do some of them, but we will be doing those.
Thank you for that. And just to transition, what are the criteria and process used with Tier 3 as the intensive intervention for non-driving students who implements the Tier 3 professionally qualified?
Wow, what a question. And it gets to the heart of what we call intervention. So to unpack that a little, Tier 1 instruction is the instruction that all students receive. That means all students, whether they are on standards towards a high school diploma or they're on access points and working towards an individual definition of what it means to finish. We know that some students thrive. We want to make sure that all students thrive. And in order to do that, when we see struggling students, we begin with a set of structured interventions that include pull-out, small group work, and other activities. That's called Tier 2. It's Tier 1 plus something else. But if Tier 2 interventions are not producing the kinds of results and putting the student on a path towards success, we then need personalized, specific interventions. And those are done in Tier 3. Those are unique situations where many adults need to gather with the family to make a difference for the child. Tier 3 interventions are the most intense, they are the most resource dependent, and they need to be done persistently. Tier 3 is proven to be more difficult than Tier 1 or 2 to deliver in our e-learning environment. It's hard to know when during the day we can pull students, and we can't pull multiple adults in the same way that we do in physical environments. We've learned a lot, but as we discussed earlier, if a student is experiencing difficulty in making adequate academic progress, the state is encouraging us, requiring us to inform the family that that child should return to face-to-face instruction. Therefore, if students are in Tier 3 interventions now, they're going to be part of that group that gets the notification. Families still have the right to choose where it is, and we will continue to provide Tier 3 interventions regardless of where a student sits. But Tier 3 interventions are moving to primarily based in brick and mortar.
Thank you for that, Mr. Go. I'm pretty sure academics and safety and security is at the top of everybody's list. I'll probably be calling you back, okay? Thank you for that. Going to another question here along safety and security around the pandemic. To keep the pandemic from spreading further throughout their schools, wouldn't it be better to close them down and go 100% virtual until it's under control? Not every parent plays by the rules. We need to protect everyone. Mr. Katz? I'm sorry? Did I skip that? I asked that question earlier? My apologies. Okay, we're going to move on. Mr. Katz, you don't have to come back at this time. Dr. Hickman, why do cameras have to be required for attendance?
So, good morning again. Policy 5.5 was revised on November 17th. The school board decided that the decision to require camera usage by students was an important one. There was three main reasons. One is for engagement. One is to verify 100% that students were in attendance. It's also to main interaction opportunities with our students, and it also gives the teachers a chance to allow for verbal feedback, verbal as well as visual feedback. Now, the results came from this survey to employees and instructional staff. 75% of the school-based administrators supported, those who responded supported, and 69% of the instructional staff also supported having the cameras on for those following reasons. Now, I know you mentioned attendance, sir, but I will just segue into briefly that the cameras, according to the policy, should be on for attendance and instruction. But to clear up any confusion, is during attendance taking and during direct instruction. The cameras do not have to be on the entire time. Mr. Chisholm, if you don't mind, can I respond to a question or two that's in the chat as well?
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Some of the questions in the chat were, and I mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to reiterate that there's opportunities that allow for extenuating circumstances. And since the policy has gone into place, there have been a number of extenuating circumstances and scenarios. But please, as far as families and students, please make sure that your teachers are made aware of those extenuating circumstances so that accommodations can be made in regard to that. Thank you.
No, thank you, Dr. Hickman. I actually have a strategic question, a strategy question. I think I'll direct that to Mr. Maurice Woods. How does the district implement strategies that it has decided on?
So thank you for the question, Mr. Chisholm. I wanted to make sure that I paused long enough for the red box to come up around me as well. So thank you for that guidance. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maurice Woods. I'm the Chief Strategy and Operations Officer. I do appreciate the question around strategic implementation. And I'll start off by saying that a few years ago, Superintendent Runcie had the foresight to create an innovative department that was designated to Strategic Initiative Management. We call that department SIM, S-I-M, within the district. And you heard a little bit about that work from the Executive Director, Dr. Posner, a little earlier in this presentation. What I want to do is just reiterate that with the guidance of the board and the superintendent, 2024 strategic plan prioritizes 3 goals. It has 6 campaigns and 20 initiatives. Each of the 20 initiatives have been assigned a senior sponsor, and through the SIM department, oversight and resources are provided to help not only in the strategy development, but also in the implementation of that strategy. So without going into all of the tools and resources that are provided, I will encourage you to visit our website, which is browardschools.com/strategic plan. That's one word. I'll repeat that, browardschools.com/strategic plans. Well, you'll find information on tools, you'll find dashboards, and you'll be able to follow the district's progress on its strategic plan. I encourage you to visit that site. Thank you, Mr. Chisholm, for the question and bringing in the topic of strategy and strategic planning.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. That pause was me being compliant again, waiting for my red box. And thank you for being compliant and also being here today. All right, let's move on. How can we as parents better assist our teachers, support our children with their virtual learning? Dr. Wanza, are you able to give us, as a chief of all of our schools?
Hi, it's me again. So sure. Thank you for this question. And I have the fortune of having an 11-year-old nephew who's in 6th grade and who has persevered through the second half of last school year and obviously the opening of this school year. And I'm going to give you some tips, not just from the educator perspective, but from observing practices of some of our families who are finding much success in the virtual environment. So the first thing I will say, and Mr. Gold says this often, typically parents are used to kids coming home with book bags for them to look through, or folders or notebooks or things of that nature. In the virtual space, Canvas and Pinnacle are now your backpacks. So parents, you need to be in Canvas and Pinnacle often, looking at your child's assigned work, look at how the work is being paced, also look at the feedback that your children are receiving on different assignments from their teachers. So just know the first major shift is now that you no longer have the physical book bag, the papers that will come home, the tests, the assignments, that's Canvas and that is Pinnacle for you. The second thing I will tell you is that it is important for students to have some kind of designated space wherever they are going to be physically participating in e-learning. So they need a designated space, whether it's in the home or if they're going with their parents to work or they're at neighbors' houses or whatever the arrangement is, they do need some type of a designated space. Parents also need to make sure that they are aware and their children are aware and they are following the school day schedule, because classes occur according to the daily schedule as if they were in the physical school building. It is extremely important for parents to establish some type of a routine communication protocol with their children's teachers. And you all need to determine, are you going to communicate weekly or bi-weekly, and how are you going to do that? Is it going to be through email? Is it going to be through text messages? But some type of a regular communication. And then parents need to also make sure, and I'm going to say this, I probably should have said this first and foremost, they need to make sure that their contact information remains current with their school. So it's your phone number, it's your email address, and how you wish to be contacted and communicated with your child's school. Lastly, I would say you still need to participate in all of the things that are going on within the school. And as you've noticed, a lot of our school improvement team meetings or our school advisory council, I'm old, are occurring virtually. We do make space for parents to attend them. And it was said earlier that as we transition to this virtual environment, more parents now have the opportunity to participate in activities that they normally were restricted to, either by time or by different conditions. But I would say the most important things, key takeaways, please make sure that you are checking Canvas and Pinnacle regularly. Make certain that you have established and you are committed to some type of a regular communication protocol with your child's teacher or teachers. Also make sure that your child has a designated space when it is time for him or her to participate in school virtually each day. Make sure you know the schedule, it is posted and you are following it. If you are having technical difficulties of any kind, be it with the device or with connectivity, please reach the school immediately. And I'll pause there.
Thank you. I was pausing, waiting on my red box. I love red, as a matter of fact. Listen, one of the things I want to just ask, Dr. Hickman, if you're still with us, I just want to ask the question as it relates to when you go through what Dr. Wanza is sharing. We're speaking a lot about mental health. How do you cope with that as a parent? Like, how do you navigate through that, coping with these different changes? What strategies are out there for that? Dr. Hickman, you are muted, I believe. I would love to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. We have set aside this past year, there's been several opportunities to have parent universities that have been focused on academics. On December 14th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., we've established a parent university with a focus on mental health. During that time, parents will be able to have and receive understanding of mental health services across Broward County Public Schools. We are in collaboration with our Broward Behavioral Health Coalition, as well as 211 Broward, as mentioned earlier. And at those times, parents will be able to receive what some of those coping strategies will be. We think it'll be a great opportunity for them to listen, to be able to weigh in, and to be able to interact. Some of the things that they really should look forward to is information on suicide prevention. And let's just be real for a second that the first thing that a parent should do is listen and be open. And that's one of the most important strategies out of all that. In our training and teaching of hearing what our students are going through, let's start there. And then on the 14th, which is next week, we'll be able to give some more strategies and interventions.
Thank you, Dr. Hickman. Thank you, Dr. Hickman. Moving along, Mr. Sullivan, a question here around, will summer camp and after-school clubs be opening?
Thank you for the question. So we're closely monitoring the COVID situation, the positivity rate. It is our we anticipate to resume normal activities for the summer of 2021. If we are able to do that, we would follow all the CDC guidelines that are established at that time. In terms of activities, we are working with school administrators and staff to establish protocols and procedures for safely reopening activities. Sponsors of clubs and organizations will need to have school-specific protocols in place, and the district is meeting and training school-based administration prior to the winter break for a safe opening in the second semester of extracurricular activities. And these protocols will consist of daily monitoring forms and COVID release forms in order to participate, similar to what we have in place for athletics. Students will have to submit a release form to participate in those activities.
Thank you for that. Two things, those that are seeing the chat, there's technology questions that come in, questions about cameras. And so I just want to kind of bring that together. There's a question specifically, what is being done to upgrade the district server equipment to mitigate lag time and other issues that occur due to overloading the existing servers? Very specific, what was done during the summer break? And then I also have technology questions that are here. I know that Mr. Don, Chief Don, is not here with us today, but Mr. Woods, I know you have a great level of expertise around strategy and operations. Could you give us a little insight around technology? And I know you all are partners, so I hope that you could give me some information around that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm sure I won't speak as thorough and detailed as our Chief Information Officer, Mr. Philip Dunn, who's exceptional. But I will try to address this question. I want to try to do this in a way, it's a technical subject, but I don't want to use too much technical jargon when explaining this to this broad audience. What I will say as it relates to the question, to date, BCS has made server upgrades to the core system to improve the speed at which sites are found on devices and the speed in which devices connect to the network. These upgrades enabled faster response times in light of the greatly increased traffic on the BCPS network. Much of this work was completed during the summer break of 2020. I just want to give a significant amount of kudos to the IT team and the collaborative team that made that happen over the summer. During the summer break, BCS also upgraded its connection back to the internet, as well as its firewall, which is our internet security systems, in anticipation of high network loads due to increased team video usage during the current period of e-learning. That's my response to the question. I try to keep it in terms so that the majority of the population can understand that response. Thank you, Mr. Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. All right, my live box is back. I also want to say to our student population and our parents, those questions that are coming in about, do you have to turn your camera on? Well, only those that have been directed to turn their cameras on have to turn their cameras on. Everyone you've heard from today, it was required that their cameras are turned on. For you, you're off the hook. You actually have an opportunity to just listen to us, stay engaged, ask questions, but you do not have to have your camera on. So today you're free, no camera. Moving along, Mr. Gold, I think we're back to you, sir, if you can join us back. What other academic programs are you planning on adding towards the high schools over the years?
So thank you very much, Mr. Chisholm and community members. So as I referenced earlier, I'd like to draw attention to two domains in which we anticipate high schools changing. One is the opportunity to enroll in advanced academic work, whether that's dual enrollment, advanced placement, international baccalaureate, or the ACE Cambridge programs. By being able to combine technology with aligned master schedules, we are looking to expand the opportunity for students to participate in these programs, whether or not their particular school offers the complete program. This is treating students across the district as one large cohort in order to form classes that make it possible. It's very hard to have a master schedule with just a few kids, and all too often, students who have opted for a course are disappointed when it doesn't make the final schedule. Technology is going to help us fix that. The other is, in addition to acceleration, we want to go broader and deeper, and electives that students may want to take. Things from the applied learning spaces or particular areas of interest that kids may have, where there is a passionate teacher, such as the African American course that's being offered in just a few of our schools, African American history course that's offered at just a few of our schools, able to be offered at any of our schools. These kinds of extensions are the direction where we plan on going. And don't just treat it for courses, think of it for clubs and other activities as well. If you've got an opportunity that you want students to participate in, let's work together to make that happen.
Mr. Gold, don't go anywhere. Right here, how are finals exams like the EOC being taken?
Based on the current information we have from the Florida Department of Education, Florida Standards Assessment, FSAs, as well as end of course exams, EOCs, will need to be taken in person during their time of administration in the spring. 2 years ago, the state of Florida moved to have all of these exams begin in May, with the exception being third grade reading exam, which is given at the beginning of April. We will be working with families to ensure that they understand all the safety protocols that are taken. And should the DOE change to either cancel or to allow for remote administration, we will inform you. But at this time, all these exams will be done in the school building.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. I will send this next question over or back to Mr. Woods. Specifically, very general question, but how does a vendor successfully secure work or business with the school board?
So thank you again, Mr. Chisholm, for the question. And I want to just take this opportunity to recognize our procurement and warehousing services team. They've actually done a really good job of creating an online portal and streamlining the process to allow vendors to do just that. So we have a supplier registration portal. I'll give you the link to that portal in a minute or so. But as you go onto that portal, it allows a vendor to register, to complete a supplier profile, and then as the board or the school district issues solicitations out to the public, the vendor will receive alerts based on the profile that they entered into the supplier portal. The one other thing that I want to mention is the district has committed to really driving economic development across Broward County Public Schools. So I want to take this opportunity to strongly encourage any small, women-owned or minority businesses to take advantages of services and support that are offered through our Economic Development and Diversity Office. And you can find information on both the supplier portal and the Economic Development and Diversity Office online at browardschools.com/PDD. P like Paul, W like William, S like Sam. Repeating, browardschools.com/PWS. Thank you, Mr. Chisholm, for the question.
And my response back to this, I thank the community for you all being engaged and sharing. As you can see, this is a town hall. Any questions can come in. We're looking to respond to many as possible, but there are hundreds and hundreds of questions that did come in. And certainly, as we wrap up or come towards the end, I specifically have 2 more questions. And Mr. Cass, I'm going to direct a specific question over to you if you can come back up. And the question is more centered around the community engagement involvement for deciding to reopen schools.
Thank you. Thanks for that question. I think that's a good question as we're nearing the end of this town hall for us to cover as far as the amount of community engagement that we were able to have leading up to the reopening of schools this year. So the school board held more than 10 public meetings where the public was able to show up or join online, contribute questions, be there in person, and be able to contribute to what our reopening plans look like. This contributed to over 60 hours of conversation that was done in the public eye as it relates to the coming back to school for the reopening. And over almost 3,000 written and in-person comments from our community in order to help us prepare. So the community was a huge part in helping us figure out what the right strategy was for our return in a time that was so new to us and so new to the community at large.
Thank you for that. I will tell you, and again, in real time, we're getting a great level of questions that are coming around the volunteer service hours. And I know that comes in a lot because in a different setting, students would have already had an opportunity to volunteer, do a lot of different things. So as a school district, we value that you're here with us today. And I will share with you that we are very appreciative that you're here today. And many of the questions that are coming in from our student body, they are sharing with us. They want to know about the community hours, and they actually get a bit of a competitive advantage over their friends because they're here with us today and they're dedicating 3-4 hours of their day with us on a Saturday. With that, I am going to wrap up, and I'm actually going to let the wonderful, very talented Dr. Valerie Wanza close us out. She always has a very warm-filled, bubbly, exciting voice and a spirit of joy. So Dr. Wanza, it's over to you.
So you can no longer get extra credit, Mr. Chisholm, because you've already graduated. And he's only saying that because my first year as a teacher, he was a senior in high school. I know I look good to have taught a child as old as him. So good morning again. I just cannot believe that we have come to the end of a phenomenal morning. As we bring this amazing EdTalk session to a close, please know that the opportunities for personal and academic growth and development for our students will always remain open, and they will continue to be limitless. I can tell you this from personal experience. Aside from being a 29-year veteran of the Broward County Public Schools, I am the third of 5 generations of my family who are proud products of the Broward County Public Schools. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to look at some of the detail behind my virtual background this morning, but it's actually a collage of the 4 schools that I was blessed to attend in our school district. I attended Hallandale and Miramar Elementary Schools, as well as Pines Middle School. And yes, I am a patriot for life. I am a proud member of the Miramar High School class of 1988. Broward County Public Schools turns out some amazing kids. Just look across this community, look across our country, and you will see the fingerprint of Broward County Public Schools in just about every nook, cranny, and corner there is. You know, we certainly want to begin by thanking all of our school board members and our superintendent for their steadfast, and I truly mean steadfast when I say steadfast leadership, and their dedication not only to our school district, but to the Broward community as a whole. They were staunch advocates in ensuring that this year's EdTalk be delivered in the same way that our teachers and students engage in teaching and learning on a daily basis. And yes, we got to experience and persevere through some of the tensions and frustrations that they do when unplanned and unexpected technical difficulties occur, but nevertheless, they overcome them and they keep moving forward, just as we did today. We definitely congratulate and sincerely thank all of our Community Involvement Award winners. We recognize that the investments that you are making in our students, in our schools, and in our community will pay dividends for decades to come. To all of you who have joined us today in this virtual format, we encourage you to continue to stay connected to us. We need your feedback, we need your input, and we need your collective expertise as we actualize the goals and objectives and even tweak the tactics and reimagine some of the things that we are doing for students. The one thing that we are committed to is ensuring that our work prepares our students, not just academically, but also socially and emotionally, to succeed in the world that they will meet and they will face and they will take on when they depart from us. Words cannot begin to express our sincere thanks and our gratitude for our students and their families, our teachers across the organization, our support staff members in all of their roles, and all of the levels of leadership for how we came together as a Broward community and we embraced the challenges and capitalized on the opportunities that this unfortunate public health crisis gave us. Our superintendent always says, never waste a crisis and always look for the opportunities and the good things that can come from challenging times. Our chief academic officer gave us just a taste of what some of those opportunities have become and what they will continue to look like and what we will build upon. We encourage all of our participants today to tune in to Tuesday's board conversation as we further our discussion on the teaching and learning aspects, not only for the remainder of this semester, but what we can look forward to as we move into the second semester of this school year. Lastly, we definitely want to wish everyone a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season. We do hope that you find some downtime to take part in some of the mindfulness activities that were explained to you today, because it is important for them to be a part of your time of reflection and rejuvenation over the holiday season. It is our prayers that we all transition safely into a new year filled with new opportunities and new favor and new grace, and just continue the work to ensure that our students are prepared for their tomorrow and that they find success on their own terms. With that, again, we thank you for joining us today. We thank you for your commitment to staying connected to us and our collective work. And now I'm going to ask you to join me in turning the program back over to our gracious host and our friend, Senor Angel Gomez.
Muchas gracias, Doctora Wanza. And like Dr. Wanza mentioned before, in regards to those kids that are produced in Broward County Public Schools, I must share with you, I'm one of them. Class of 1987, Western High School, go Wildcats. Thank you, Dr. Wanza, for your passion and for re-energizing us to move forward in educating our students to reach their highest potential. We want to thank everyone who pulled together to produce an awesome event today. EdTalk 2020-21 is definitely one for the history books, and you have been part of that. And to all our attendees, over 1,000 of them, you have been a terrific audience. We appreciate you getting up on a Saturday morning to support innovative education in Broward County Public Schools, your school system. You will receive a very important survey. Yeah, There's some homework after this, like in every good school. We want to make sure we give you something to take home with you and to follow. There's an important survey to complete, and we appreciate your prompt response. You may also visit browardschools.com/EdTalk. That's browardschools.com/EdTalk for the survey link. Your feedback will provide valuable information for the district as we together continue to fervently serve our students, schools, and community. And now to my favorite attendees, the students. Thank you so much for attending. Remember, you have another side homework. You need to enter your email address on the survey to get your service learning hours accounted for. That's 3 hours. And we thank you so much for being an active participant on today's EdTalk. Special thanks again to the students from Broward Virtual School, Cypress Bay High School, and Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and Lauderdale Lakes Middle School. With that, stay safe and healthy, everyone. Enjoy your holiday break. Try not to travel. It's okay. Stay local with your family. And most importantly, have a great weekend.